Harbor.
So
you were in Mechanicsburg? What for?
I work for a company called Wilson Art.
Harbor Town is an all-new
sales rep
series from Miniature
for 'em.
Building
So,
Authority, the leader
I've been
in
with them
tabletop
26
gaming
years,
scene.
and I had a presentation out there with one of my
Flexible and
fabricators. I sell quartz.
Harbor Town will take your games to
Slabs, yeah, engineered
slabs
stone.
okay.
Yeah. I used to be Solid Surface and some other things, but yeah, I've been with them 26 years. They're headquartered in Temple, Texas. Our distribution center's in South Jersey for the Northeast Corridor. So it's a good job, man. It's a good company.
Because my store is in North Jersey.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I live in South Jersey, but I used to have North Jersey as territory. So I got to swing by sometime in the future. Definitely. Absolutely. You know Morristown itself?
No, it's in Andover.
Oh, okay.
Up by the water gap.
Got it. Oh, wow. That's a haul. There's no direct roads, man.
Hey, it's
287 hooks all the way around. What road? 80?
Yeah. That's how everybody knows where anything is in Jersey. What exit?
Yeah, tell me about it. Well, if you want to know where I am, I'm at exit 2 off the Jersey Turnpike.
Oh.
Yep. A little south. I mean, not a little south, but not. I used to be at exit 3 when I lived in Camden County. So.
You ever go to any cons in Maryland?
Nope. None. That story's funny in itself, because we were hermits for 38 years, my entire crew. I've done 2 PAX Unplugs, one Gen Con, and this will be my first Gary Con, and since Reaper's sponsoring me, I'm doing Reaper Con this year too. Exit 7, Jason. Yeah, that's cool.
I have not gone to a Gen Con since it was in Minneapolis.
Understood.
So like the 80s. Yeah.
One and done for me on that. I think it was too big. It was great because Carlos Slicing and I did a joint. We did a joint adventure together, and each did our own part. It was each 5 hours, a 10-hour adventure. First day of Gen Con. That was awesome, but it just was too big.
I've been going to Historicon the last 2 years. I love it, just as a player.
Oh, I was at well, remember, I couldn't get it to Historicon. Something happened, but my sponsor Kirk from Miniature Building Authority was at Historicon, and he also is the HGMS at King of Prussia.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was there. I was at that this year, but I just went.
I'll be there this year.
All right, cool. What's up, Frank? What's up, Jason? What's up, Mike? Mike's here. So, yeah. Cool, man. That's cool. Yeah, lots of good stuff going on in the Philadelphia metropolitan market. That's a good thing.
Yeah, I do want to make it to PAX Unplugged, but that does have a waiting. I've been on that waiting list for like 3 years.
Yeah, Kirk from Miniature Building Authority said he's been on that wait list too, and he's not too hopeful for this year.
Yeah.
Reaper got in, so I'm gonna do some stuff with the Reaper. Hopefully there. Mike Disney, the artist who Mike did some stuff for our mega stream. It's gonna come, and we're gonna do some joint stuff for Reaper. We're trying to get a seminar going for that too. Lots of fun things. We're gonna call it the Total D&D Experience, hopefully. So what we're gonna do is because I'm a tabletop guy, we're gonna do getting the minis, getting the terrain set up, and doing this is how you do a real D&D game using Reaper. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And Anna's been in my house. Anna was in my house right before PAX Unplugged.
Yep.
What's up, Tim? There's the ever mysterious Tim on.
Am I supposed to be able to see these people in the chat?
Do you have Twitch on?
No, I have Zoom.
You need to
Twitch and then kill the audio and
kill the audio on Twitch. Log on to Twitch. I'm sorry. I apologize. I should have.
It's okay. And make sure you set down the video stream quality to a minimum, or pop out the chat and kill the video altogether. That way you will save bandwidth.
Yeah, because that's going to be on a little bit of a delay. The XSplit is dead on live.
Yeah,
That's
because the
kinda way
Twitch
they work
video is like 10 seconds delayed.
I'm not even sure I know how to do this.
Someone
Oh,
type,
Twitch TV. Okay.
yeah,
Yep.
/ Lord Kesava.
Isn't right?
Ha ha! That's a first. I'm gonna run this one. I'm gonna run this. Keep on running this because it's so awesome. Plus, it has the amount that we raised over the weekend. Anna, what do you think?
Oh, you put that into. Oh yes. Oh good, you put that. Oh, that is.
Five channels and 22 and a half hours of gaming.
Okay, so what do I have to do?
Do you have an account yet, Joe?
What's that?
Have you ever been on Twitch before?
Yes.
All right, so just go to Lord Kesava. That's it.
Yeah, I'm in there.
That's
Yeah,
it.
and
You should be able to see the chat.
window should be.
Someone chat. Jason Dakota just said David.
Yes, Jason just said David.
Yep, perfect. Then you're in.
All right, so
Just make sure that you have the video on like 1080 or
Watch
something.
that video unless you.
Yeah, that will.
there's no video coming.
Okay, good.
It shows like the little
That's weird.
videos. Like
No, Twitch is kind of weird that way. It comes to some sort of homepage rather than the actual.
that's
Oh,
what
no, it's free. It's video.
I have the chat on.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, what you're seeing on our screen is what they're seeing. Anna survived. Anna's character survived the Saturday.
Oh yeah.
From the Falcon.
I usually die when I play Pathfinder Organized Play, and I die.
Usually die?
Oh yeah, I've died a lot on those, but that's kind of those characters. I play them just a bit here and there, and it's kind of it's not long term playing, so to speak.
All right. Welcome, screen. Welcome, Joe.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Joe, definitely, yeah, it's my pleasure.
Yeah.
It's our pleasure.
Definitely. And you were one of our very first guests, I think. Yep.
I think so. Yeah, it was way
Yeah.
back.
Way back in episode like 1 or 2 or something like that.
What are we up to now?
39.
39.
I think this is. Yep.
I have 82 Gabbins, 39 Legends of Lore, and 873 adventures.
Wow.
Not all streamed, though. I think we're on 873 this Thursday. Yeah. Crazy. I hope everyone's, hey, what's up, Phantom? You should get your stuff tomorrow or Thursday. Thank you. I got out all the complimentary gifts from Reaper and Stratagem and the Bards of Greyhawk from all the large donators. So anyone, Katana, you too, you should get your Bards of Greyhawk CDs. Just, they should be coming. And thank you all, guys. It was such a great event. So, Joe, you should be able to see a running total on the screen of how many viewers there are too. Not on ours, but on Twitch.
Yep.
Okay, cool. I may ask you to do something to be honorary here. Get that Twitch up in a second. Here. All right, so we're a minute early. We always do the minute early here thing. So, good evening. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Legends of Lore. What's up, Adam? Good to see you on. What's up, David Leonard's on. Casey Brown is on. Wow, it is like a who's who tonight of people watching. So joining Anna and Mike and me is fantastic blogger and writer Joseph. You prefer Joseph or Joe?
Joe's fine.
Joe Bloch.
Okay.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be back.
Yes, I am glad to talk to you person to person for the first time, actually, which is crazy. You know, we're all so old. You know?
Yep.
It's crazy. How it's just like Alan Grohe. He lived 10 miles from me in Merchantville. When I grew up in Barrington, and we never met each other ever. You know, when in the 80s and 90s when he lived there. It's the quirks of fate. So Joe's got a lot going on, And for those of you who are new, and probably a lot of my guys won't know a lot of your background, why don't you give us your background on life in D&D and
geez.
what's brought you to this point today?
Oh man, let's see. I
Keep it
started
short.
playing war games in the mid '70s. You know, the Avalon Hill and SPI, Hexes Encounters, and stuff like that. Eventually, I got into D&D. I believe it was 1977 with the Little Brown Books. Went straight into Holmes Basic, and then really quickly into AD&D. Fell in love with Greyhawk from the first mentions I saw in the DM's guide, you know, on the artifacts and stuff. So I've been a Greyhawk fan since before Greyhawk was actually a thing.
Wow.
That is awesome.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
Never really got into third edition, never got into fourth edition, just stayed in first and second. And
Sounds familiar.
I kind of like fifth. You know, I like to play fifth more.
Oh,
than
wow. Okay.
It's a very decent game. It's
You know,
different.
yeah. My only regret on third edition, sorry Joe, is financial.
Yeah.
I got everything.
I can understand
Wow.
that. I missed the third edition bleed in my pocketbook, but I made up for it because I had all the World of Darkness stuff from White Wolf, so which was just about as debilitating to my bank account. I run the Greyhawk Grognard blog, which is in its 11th year right now.
Nice.
Focuses obviously on the world of Greyhawk, but it covers, you know, D&D in general, gaming, board games. I delve into movies and TV sometimes. Every once in a while, I feel compelled to rant about Star Trek, you know, that kind of stuff. I am the president of BRW Games, which publishes Adventures Dark and Deep, which is my vision of what Gary's second edition. Yeah. Oh, there you go. He's got the one of the new. It's my interpretation of what Gary's second edition would have been like, from the various articles in Dragon Magazine that he had about, you know, this is the new direction of the game and these are the new classes we're going to have. And then he got fired and we never saw it. So,
Right.
I gathered up all that stuff, put it together, and you know, starting with the first edition rules, put it together. And so it's first edition with bards as a class and savants and mystics and mountebanks.
Oh, so that, okay. I was going to ask you because I have a list of classes online on drive-through that I wanted to talk to you about. So
Oh,
they're 2E, or they're what 2E should be.
Well, yeah, it's based on the first E mechanics.
Okay.
But it's not related to the published second edition at all.
Okay, cool.
I also do Castle Mad Archmage, which is my homage to Castle Greyhawk. It's originally 14 levels, and we just published another sub-level, so I think it's up to 16 levels at the moment. And
Nice.
Do we have a link? Snafu's asking about where can you get it?
It's on Drive-Through RPG.
all the
it's right
stuff's on
there.
Drive-Through RPG. You could also go to brwgames.com, and you'll find links to all the stuff.
And I'm sorry on the shout out.
Grognard.com.
I didn't put that on the shout out, but you probably could go through Joe's blog and connect to that somehow too, correct?
Absolutely. It's right up in the corner.
Yes.
GreyhawkGrognard.com.
Yes, and that is linked on there so that you can connect through to that as well there, David. So, Joe, if you have the capability and you're on Twitch, if you notice, I am at 1,999 followers. I am one short of 2,000. There's a heart on that top. Hit that heart for me and become the 2,000th follower for me, if you
This
would.
reminds me of an old Dragonmere, that cartoon.
The
thing
2,000th follower.
That was they had in Dragonmere back in the day. They had one that was like, there was a couple of people coming running and saying, "Oh, run for cover!" There's a 19th level paladin who has like 10 XP left for 20th level, and everybody run and hide.
Yeah, all right. 2,000 with
2,000 followers.
Joe Bloch, Greyhawk
yes.
Grognard. Thank you. Hopefully we don't lose a couple, but it always happens. So thank you so very much there for that. Really appreciate it.
Happy to help.
It is. It's been a fun ride the last, I guess, what 18 to 20 months, Ariana, about that
Yeah.
now. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's going very well.
Oh,
Getting the community together and keep on pushing. And I think what's really cool, Joe, is Greyhawk is really. I don't want to get our hopes up too high because we always have the, Carlos and I are on one side of the, let's open up the DMs Guild thing, as to like it doesn't matter to us, but I know it matters to a lot of people. So, and I know it matters to you. So if it's a bitter topic, you don't have to go over it. But could you
I
explain
think
what has
Joe,
happened?
yeah, Joe,
Happened the last 2 years or whatever? I guess it's taken. Has it been that long, or has it been longer that you've been back and
maybe
forth
longer.
with them?
Well, okay. So when 5th edition first came out, I decided I was going to go all in, and I wrote a DM's guide to Greyhawk for 5th edition and a player's guide. Between them, they're about 900 pages.
Wow.
And it's everything you would expect for a 5th edition setting. It's got new class options and new monsters and spells and all that other stuff. And I have been patiently waiting for Wizards of the Coast to open up Greyhawk on DM's Guild. And a couple of months ago, I decided I'm done waiting. It's been years. They show absolutely no sign that they're going to do anything with Greyhawk.
That stinks.
They've published a couple of things, for charity. The Laboratory of Qualish was really cool, really nice module, and they've done the Salt Marsh thing, and they've reprinted some stuff. But I don't honestly understand their reticence about Greyhawk, other than it has the impression that it's too close to Forgotten Realms. It's a straight quasi-medieval setting, and I think in their minds the fans won't be able to differentiate between the two. I also think there's a certain level of, among the Greyhawk community, of I don't need 5e. I'm playing 1st or 2nd or 3rd. Why would I bother to buy these new books? And that's how they make their money. They're not interested in catering to an audience that is going to scorn the other stuff that they buy. If they publish, a perfect example, they're publishing the role. What is it? The Critical Role setting is going to be a 5th edition book, because they know that anybody who watches Critical Role, who buys that book, buy a player's handbook.
The pre-orders have already outstripped the player's handbook.
Yeah, exactly. So I think from a business standpoint, I understand exactly why they're doing what they're doing.
Right.
And from my perspective, I've got 900 pages worth of stuff just sitting on my hard drive, doing nothing. I might as well get it out there. And some of the stuff that I can genericize and just publish as a 5th edition book, like monsters or magic items or junk, I'll probably do that on Drive-Thru-RPG. But there's a ton of stuff that just doesn't lend itself towards being generic. Like the things that I've published recently, the Wizards of the Flaness and Flaness, the other different things that I've published recently. Those don't really lend themselves to being generic products. So I put them out there, and I'm asking for donations, to help me put out more, because every hour I spend on these free things, and under the terms of the fan content license, it has to be free. Every hour I spend on that is an hour I can't spend writing something that I can sell.
Yeah, it's
so it's the stuff that I love, but I got to pay the mortgage.
It makes to me it makes no sense. But then again, I'm not one with sense a lot. I guess Anna, you, Mike, and I have to get this show up to 50,000 viewer average, and maybe then they'll publish Greyhawk.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yes.
I mean, if that's what it takes to get something published with Critical Role.
Exactly. When you can have a studio and 5 employees and run it for thousands of many thousands of players every week, then
I'll take the 73 we're at right now, and thank you all for coming on and watching, definitely,
Yep.
and participating. And please, you can ask Joe questions at any time. Mike, what do you think about that whole situation?
I think they're exerting creative control over their stuff, and that's why they don't want a bunch of fans writing stuff for it. Like Joe said, it's good to march out some nostalgic stuff once in a while, when they maybe need to fill some time. I've done studies on my blog over what Greyhawk stuff they've reprinted or themes they've reused. They're almost up against a wall here. They're running out of classic Greyhawk stuff to reuse, so it'll be interesting.
You think so?
Yeah,
I don't think so. No, for 5e they haven't done They could do the Slavers.
That's what I'm saying. They got to use stuff. It's getting to the more and more obvious Greyhawk stuff. Now, Slavers, I could see that being generic.
Yeah. I think that if they do one, that's my guess on the next one.
But they always go back to the AD&D stuff, and if you get to the 2nd edition, 3rd edition era, then they always pull back.
Well, let's hope down the road that someone like a light bulb goes on. I know that Anna and I talked multiple times on we're going to corner certain people at GaryCon this year, right? Number one, we're going to Eric, right? We're going to corner Eric and force because he's agreed multiple times to come on this show. So Eric Moen is number one, and then we're going to corner some of the people from WotC if we can and talk to them. Because I'm persistent, but I've never really dealt.
I've actually got a neat little factoid about Eric Mona.
Oh, go ahead, yeah.
Back in the early '90s, he and I both lived in Boston together, and I was his DM in a Greyhawk campaign.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah. This was before he had any professional career in gaming or whatever, but he would come to my apartment and there was a couple other people and we would play Greyhawk, and it's like, I guess that was 2nd edition back then, and
that's the life.
He had a blast. He even thanked me once in the Oerth Journal for rekindling his love of Greyhawk or something.
Yeah, that's so cool.
It's one of my badges of honor that I used to be Eric.
You're responsible for Paizo.
So
yes, Smetcher, yes, Pandemonium Games in Harvard Square. Is that still there?
Yeah. Good old Gary Julian right there.
Smetcher's Julian.
That's Gary Julian.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the question is, you once said you play a lot of 5e. Do you DM or play as a cat?
I DM because I play test.
Okay.
But I prefer to play. Okay. Like at a con or something. It's, nowadays, if I go to a con as a player, I'm not going to find many 1st edition games out there. I'm going to find fewer people running Adventures Dark and Deep, much to my chagrin. But I actually enjoy playing 5e. With a good DM, it's a solid system.
Okay. That's what that seems to be the consensus with the majority of the old schoolers. Like I've played it 3 times, Anna, with Brian DMing, right?
Yeah.
So I would play it, but I wouldn't DM it because it's just my guys you can't teach old dogs new tricks.
I played it a lot too, and I really like it. It's definitely one of the best versions of D&D.
Yeah, my preference is still 1st edition.
Yeah,
but that I like it. It's not like 3rd or 4th, which I just can't stand.
I can understand that completely. I can understand. Just having the example I give right there. I'm not bashing you because we had a great time, but Casey came with this character with 8 different classes, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" He's a special priest of Kellen, and that's it. You're nothing else. So I was like, "Oh my god!" Like 3rd edition, and then never touched 4th. So, but understood.
Well, it's funny you should say that because in the context of 5th edition, one of the things I did as part of those 2 books that I mentioned was in 5th edition you have clerics have their own I forget what they're called now.
Is it called domain?
Special.
Like domains?
Yeah,
domains.
Yeah, the domains. I created unique domains for every Greyhawk deity.
Cool. Yeah.
So there's 69 different domains with special powers and unique spells and the whole 9 yards.
You outdid me. I'm at 40. I've done 4. No, we have a specialty priest class for every separate deity that is played. So
Yeah.
you got me out. Wow.
Yeah, I did every single one that I could find.
Even demi-humans?
No, actually, I'm working on a separate book for them because since that's not Greyhawk specific, that's something I can actually.
Oh, because it's deities and demigods, or
Right.
that.
So I'm actually working on an elves book.
Oh, nice.
Same idea. So there'll be a domain of Kalanin and all the rest.
Nice.
But
Very
every
cool.
single Greyhawk deity, and I went through all the materials, and they all have unique
downstairs.
spells and powers and all that good stuff. That's going to be coming at some point, depending on the response that I'm getting on the other stuff.
That is cool. It's going to be in 5e?
Yeah, it's all 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine's in 2. 1e2. Okay, cool.
I did the same thing for 2e back in the day, back when we were on AOL.
Whew, man. Yeah, the discussion always goes back to the AOL talk. I see, and I think Brian Blumklotz, they are on Cannon Fire. They have some of that saved, some of those files saved on there back in the day.
But it wasn't the files. That was the back and forth in the forums where Knight Screed would lay into people and tell them how much of an idiot they were, and everybody would bounce back at him. And it was the fun part.
So. Do you, Joe? Do you participate in any other group discussions now? I see you on Facebook, but are you? Are you involved on any Discord servers or in that?
No. My wife keeps pushing me to go onto Discord.
All right.
I actually have an account, and every once in a rare while, I'll go onto Eric Tenkar's chat that he has every week. But honestly, I go into Cannon Fire every once in a while.
Well, Joe, I just linked the Greyhawk Discord online, so there you go. And it has it is all of us here. It's Alan Growy, it's Christoph, it's Brian Blumklotz, and a lot of other people. It's a good one. It's
yeah, I'm on MeWe too. There's a Greyhawk forum on MeWe.
Excellent.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Good to hear because when we all change up and exchange ideas, it makes it much more rich for everyone.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. So Anna, what would you say to this discussion we're having right now?
Well, I'm kind of curious a bit if we can get Greyhawk Online. What do you think? Is Greyhawk Online? I see it as a now with the. I would say that the scene is so diverse now with all the different social media and stuff, but it's so cool to see that we get more websites and stuff coming out. Would you put some of your stuff on Greyhawk Online too?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
It's free stuff. I want it out there as much as I can. So consider this official permission to take anything that I put on as a free download.
Yeah.
Take it over, please.
Christoph should be here now.
Yeah, well, Christoph and Brian Blumklotz. So if anyone wants to Discord them and tell them if they happen to be on, I don't think they are, but please do that. The Earth Journal has been reproduced as well, and that's another forum I'm writing. So I've written some for it the last 3 or 4. Mike, did you finish yours yet on the what do you call it on the? Oh my God, Sea Princess?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I haven't done a post on my blog recently, and that's because I've been writing on that.
Okay. So, Joe, that's active too now. Again, too, maybe something to get re-involved in there as well.
I actually just submitted an article for the one that's going to be printed.
Oh, beautiful for Gary Kahn. Gary, that is awesome.
It's on the many Castles Greyhawk, the different versions of Castle Greyhawk that are.
Oh, that is great.
Good one.
That is great. Did Christoph hopefully will love it. So. Daka, you're on. Please PM me your address. I need to send you stuff for your donations from Saturday. Okay, you're one of the few I don't have the address to. Please just PM that to me. Thank you. All right, so WotC, who knows what's going to happen? If it happens
I
one day,
give it
we'll
up.
all be happy.
I've given up on WotC. They haven't done it in, what has it been, 4 years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since Fifth Edition came out. They've done a handful of things, and it seems to me that their emphasis, and again, I understand it. I get it. This is a business decision for them. But they're going after the younger demographic who
Yeah.
is all in on 5th edition and follows Team Phoenix and Critical Role and all that other stuff. And they're not interested in what we're interested in, because I've been doing this for 43 years now. They don't care. I mean, that's what interests the kids today. And they're the ones who spend all the money on the 5th edition stuff.
Critical Role, I think, is having a cartoon made.
Yes.
Probably.
Yeah, but that was their own doing through
okay.
Kickstarter. So that was separate from WotC and separate from Hasbro. So, but hey, it really has brought back D&D, but in a good way. There's people playing it a lot more. I have no problem. I've always said, play it however you want to play it. Play it in whatever edition you want to play it, and play it with whatever campaign setting. It doesn't matter. Just play. And for us, I'm like you, Joe. I love Greyhawk, and I'm never going anywhere else, and have been since I was 12 years old. So it just is. It's special to me. But I'm really glad that you started doing this. Maybe this will be a nice Kickstarter. We get this on Greyhawk Online. I guarantee you the downloads will go up a lot even more, because definitely.
Put them out there. This is out there for the community, and if somebody can throw me a couple of bucks, I'm happy. But this is free for everybody.
And it's fantastic. I want to share something with you. I should have had this up on the screen, but here's the listing in this one. This is the Wizards of the Flannish. Okay, so it's got the Circle of 8 from the Ashes. No, that's from the Free City Greyhawk box set.
That's the Greyhawk. Yeah, exactly.
That's okay. One of my favorite pictures of all time. Joe's got listings of all these spells that were in the Greyhawk Adventures book, plus other spells, all the way by level. And there's a fair amount of them. Going from first all the way up to the only 9th Mordenkainen's Disjunction, Tim's favorite spell of all time. I know you're on, Tim.
So it's all in 5th edition format now. That's the beauty of it.
And they're all, and that's what's really cool about them. They're all in 5th edition format. This opens up a tremendous amount of spells to your spellcaster in 5th edition. With that Greyhawk flair. So, us Greyhawk people who are doing it, like Will, I mean, just jump on it. Yeah, guys, and it's a free download too. I know that you go to Joe's site, and they're all right there. So let me hit that up one more time again.
And one of the things I'm actually really proud of that one, because one of the things I did was I tried to make, setting the spells themselves aside, I tried to make the powers that you get as a member of that school relate to the personality of the wizard.
Very cool.
And you kind of get a little of this from the spells that they make. So for example, we know that Tensor, like to charge into battle with his staff. So one of the things that, if you are in the school of Tensor, you get fighting accoutrement as a power, and pugilistic flourish and improved war magic and stuff like that. If you're in Autoluke, a lot of Autoluke spells are drawn on music and sound and things like that. So, some of his powers of his acolytes depend on that too. So I tried to make it more than just a straight mechanical translation of spells. I wanted to give the different schools the flavor of those characters that we know from the sources and the spells and everything else.
Yeah, it is very well done, everyone. You should, especially the 5e should immediately download this. Who cares? And if you're not playing in the Greyhawk, you're playing in a homebrew. Who cares, right? It doesn't matter. They're great spells in here. Like we always loved Nistel's Radiant Baton out of that book. That was one of our favorite spells, and it's a 3rd level spell. And it's great against undead. I mean, there's all sorts of fantastic things that you can pull out of this. I want to ask you one question.
Okay.
And I'm just going to laugh. Where are the Liam and Leonard Lakofka spells?
Oh, jeez.
Ooh, yes.
I
I have
had
to.
I had to draw the line somewhere,
Oh, okay.
and especially it's a lot of this was based on the wizards that we saw in the
Yes, exactly. I just had to bust. That's all.
Adventures,
A
yeah.
letter.
Okay, one thing I want you to do: look on page 2.
Okay.
I got it now. Look on page 2, and in that first paragraph under the bullet, and tell me if you get the reference.
It's not the case that this one. It's not the case that wizards belonging to these traditions.
No. It's the Big B. It's in the Big B section.
Oh, School of Bigby. That one.
Yeah, second page. Each time you cast a spell.
Each time. Okay, wait a minute. Second page.
Because
I'm on page 1. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, if you're a member of the School of Bigby, you can actually create the Rod of Bigby as a thing.
The previous rod ceases to function. The rod appears as a 2-foot long, thick wooden rod with a claw-like hand on one end. Also functions as a +3 back scratcher and can be used immediately as if it was a club +3. Yes, just like in the Dungeon Master's Guide, right?
Yes, the DM's Guide.
Yes, the picture. I don't know if this is one of the Big B spells or a +3 back scratcher.
Right,
Nice.
Exactly. I love to pepper my stuff with little references like that.
That's perfect. That is awesome. I was flipping through. I was hoping to see a picture of a Miracle the Chaotic, but no, that's okay. I'm kidding on that. It's awesome. No, guys, I'm serious. For 5th editioners, you got how many are there? There are over 100 spells here. There are over 100 spells, guys, for you to use in your campaign, and that's perfect. And you also my players, quasi-elemental mastery. All right.
Yes.
So now, in my campaign, Joe, I have air, fire, earth, and water elementalists. Then I have quasi, which is lightning and radiance, and then I have para, which is like ooze and steam and all the other.
They're all for 5th edition. I have them. That's actually on DM's Guild right now. You can buy that.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's like $4. It's a translation of, because I did all the para and quasi elementals.
Right.
For those who don't know what the hell we're talking about, the quasi and para elementals are the elementals that live on the elemental planes that intersect between fire, earth, air, and water, and also between those and positive and negative energy.
Yeah.
So you've got dust and vacuum and
lightning,
ash, all these other kinds of elementals.
Salt.
Yeah.
Salt. Yeah. And and I did them all up for Adventures Dark and Deep, and one of my first experiments in 5th edition stuff was I put together. It's a book called what the hell is it called? Classic Planar something or other. Something classic planar architecture or something like that, and it has all the stats for all those quasi elementals, and it also has the wheel of of the outer planes and all that other good stuff.
Yeah.
So if you look for my name on DM's Guild, you'll find it.
Basically, Joe has created arcane tradition schools for each of these wizards. School of Bigby, right? You got Bigby, Drawmage, Nistel, Mordenkainen. Who am I missing here? Otto Luke, and Tensor and Rary. Yep, there you go. So it's something. If I was playing 5e, I would jump on this in a second. Absolutely fantastic. Anyone online have any questions, or Mike or Anna, about this? This is just the first one. This is just the first of the 3 that are out so far.
Yeah, it's amazing to see, and it's so wonderful that you taking a lot of the old references and like the back scratch. that's amazing, and put it in. But I guess that a little bit. I guess every generation needs to reinvent. They don't want to play what they. I guess if I come in 20 years after I did, then I would be a Forgotten Realms fan. I guess because then I will see Greyhawk as the past. So, but I still think that there is there is probably as much Greyhawk being played now as has been in the last at least since the Living Greyhawk kind of ended. So it's a bit of a renaissance again, and also think there's so much D&D being played that there is room for to revive some of the old content too. So some people have now played D&D so much that they want to play something else that not everybody else are playing. So I think
it's amazing how the changeover has occurred, and I don't know if it's just the society that we live in now, and everything is instantaneous, or I don't know, but it's a good thing to see.
Yeah, and
you
also
know.
D&D is mainstream now. It's like the ocean lifts every boat. It's like such a huge community now that is even the smallest niche becomes much more populated than it used to be.
David Leonard just said something on chat that I think we should share and discuss for about 10 seconds, or at least. Mercer World may kill Forgotten Realms. I agree 100%.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
That is dead on. We'll take Drizzt. Josh said no. Please, no. No.
As long as we got Ari Salvatore, I think Forgotten Realms will be all right.
Yeah.
And when he stops writing for them, that could do it.
Jason, Mercer World is a Critical Role's world that's coming out, and for the books and all. So, I just see that I can see that happening. Them stopping production on Forgotten Realms. Joe, what do you think about that?
I don't see it, honestly.
Okay.
I think they've got way too much invested in Forgotten Realms in terms of the books and the minis and all that other stuff. That's their default setting for 5e, and I can't honestly see them abandoning that. That's not to say they're not going to be supporting the Critical Role world, but they're never going to give up Waterdeep. I mean, they're making board games out of that, for crying out loud.
And it's a good board. It's a good board game too. I play it with my son all the time. It's a good board game. I wish there was something out like that for Greyhawk. Seriously,
you could reskin it easy.
I was just going to say you can reskin it, use the same mechanics.
Maybe. Oh, Joe Wolkoff. Well, yes.
Greyhawk Wars. Yeah.
Joe, I have a shrink wrap copy of that. So,
but it took forever to play that damn thing. It took.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
Not as long as
for like a whole weekend. 16 hours a day for like 4 days, and we're still not done with it.
Not as long as the War of the Ring board game took back in the day. That was longer than.
Are you talking about the SPI one, or?
Yeah, the original one. Yeah, with Saruman as the third player. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah,
yep, I have that. I still have my.
I got an unpunched version of that, man. Shoo. My Tim, who's online, and his dad, John, who played Saturday Night, introduced me to that game back in 1982 or something. Wow, that caught, that enthralled me with box set war games, and I got a Divine Right too, which is another good one.
Yeah.
So, really cool stuff. Okay, so next one. It's up now. Factions and organizations of the Flannies. If you want history and you want to know, about groups or to use in your game, this is where you want to go. So let's just hop through them real quick. The Circle of Eight is in here. And you got motto, beliefs, goals, and member traits for everything, and ranking as well. The Cult of Asmodeus. That
one I actually got out of the Gord the Rogue books.
Oh, Jason will love that.
There's a short story where one of the false, it's like a murder mystery, and Gord has to solve it. And one of the things in there is from the Cult of Asmodeus, and one of the guys has like a ruby tattoo on his chest.
Neat. Great that you're pulling from other.
Well, Gord is kind of as canon as it gets, so to speak, since it was Gary who wrote it. So yeah.
The Knights of the Heart are in here. All three. Knights of the Holy Shielding, and you got Brian's very nice, nicely done heraldry on there, which is cool.
Yes.
Yeah. The Knights of the Watch. The Rangers of the Gnarly Forest. Another one I love. Scarlet Brotherhood. The Temple of Elemental Evil. Another cool faction. And a mission table. You're
Yeah, the
missing
missions are actually my contribution because they mechanically in 5th edition they've set up this whole thing of factions and organizations and stuff, but they don't really do anything. You know, you can rise in these organizations, but they haven't worked out the mechanics yet for what the organizations do for you as a player.
3rd edition was good at that.
Yeah, so what I did was I took some of I took a little inspiration from one of my own books, Adventures Great and Glorious, which has all kinds of rules for factions and secret societies and stuff like that. And I thought that
Carlos.
having the faction give you missions that if you complete them you get renown so that you can then advance in the faction. I think that was at least a start towards making factions actually worth anything.
Yeah,
But because right now there are lots of flavor, lots of fluff, but they don't really have a mechanical impact. And 5e is all about mechanical impact.
Yeah. It's once again it's deep. It's got a lot of like for example, Scarlet Brotherhood has a motto and an alternate motto. A soft word and a knife in the back will get you more than a soft word. That is awesome. Is that from the Scarlet Brotherhood reference?
No, I confess I lifted that from. That's been around for a long time.
Nice.
I lifted that off of somewhere.
That's okay. You got a bunch of knighthoods in here, but you're missing one big one.
Mm-hmm.
Just kidding. You see, I made you laugh again, Anna.
Oh yes, yeah, you make me laugh a lot on that.
I hope that's
I'm
not
sitting
bad.
here just
I'm not sure that's a
enjoying
good
myself.
thing.
Wait. So Saturday night, we're playing this adventure, and I got 2 undead characters in there, that Swain and Lorana, and the son and daughter are playing, and the son's a real neutral tool bag, and Anna out of the blue goes, family issues in Altamira, or said something like that, and I just started laughing. I mean, it was like, oh my god!
But that was so cool when you played up that was so awesome. You warned me ahead, so I was kind of I need to be edgy here, and it was fun. It was so much fun, and everyone seemed to have family issues with their parents, and dead ones and undead ones and everything. So it was like, so this seems, and also she was an outsider. She came from
that's such a disturbing story.
So she came there from the first time she was there, and everybody talked about their dead ones, the deceased ones, and undead parents and whatever. So it was like, what the hell is this? Everyone has family issues.
Yeah, so I made Anna laugh a lot. I think this is another great. Mike, have you taken a look at this yet? In your 5e, like for your I would take a look at. I mean, because it's got. I know you have a Sea Princess that is Scarlet Brotherhood list, but it's good.
Right.
It's another great reference for those players.
I like the Scarlet Brotherhood.
Yeah, definitely.
I like them. The scheming and all that. I didn't like their Greyhawk Wars.
Yeah, this particular one is more 576.
Yeah. This goes back. This goes back because it says, as of 576 CY, Scarlet Brotherhood is a cautious and highly secretive organization. Would you ever? Now, I'm not saying this from my own, but would you ever add anything to this? Would you, if something came up, you're like, you know what? Maybe I should add that.
Oh, I absolutely.
Okay.
If I just get inspiration and I want to throw in another one, it's coming.
How about like the Knight Protectorates? Yeah, for the Great Kingdom.
Never, ever.
I don't use the eastern side of the map, Joe. So I'm just asking. Why?
No, whatever strikes my fancy.
Okay.
If I
had Leonard spells.
Yeah, well, we've already that is in the first publication, Josh. We're on the factions one now. Leonard would get a kick out of that, but that's okay. It's basically a circle of 8 people in that. So this is. I'm just looking here. Knights of the Watch are not used that much, and I'm glad you put them in. It seems to be they get short shrift, right?
They were much more prominent in the gold box and the folio than they were, in wars and afterwards. I don't know why they just kind of dropped out, and to me they're much more. There's much more. there's much more potential with them from a dramatic point of view.
Well, I love you pulled the Knight Bachelor, Companion, Banner, and Commander right from the folio.
Yeah,
That's
a
where
lot,
those
of this
titles.
stuff comes straight out of there. Yeah.
Yeah. Because a lot of people ask me what those mean, and I say I have no idea. Because we used to use them in the Order of Ulick too, and then I have I was like, I don't know. They're just in the folio. So
Clearly, the Knight Bachelor are the unmarried knights, right?
yeah, but that's an officer position above knights. Yeah, who knows? Who knows? But it's cool that you did that. And the symbol is the original symbol too. Now the Rangers of the Gnarly Forest come from the Ashes box set, which is later on, but you pulled it back to 576. So and I love the motto: "May the gnarly remain ever free." That is another, guys. Please, you gotta get these for yourself, and they're all free. And it also thank you very much for that follow. Really appreciate it, Nerd McGee. You're right. You're right in the right place. Trust me. It says here, and I love Norwell. We do a lot. We're going to do a new first level campaign in Norwell shortly, and you talk about Norwell in this. You talk about a lot of locations. So it says members must stay within a few days travel of the forest and very out of place in large urban centers such as Norwell, Free City, Greyhawk, and Divers. So then we also take the Ranger of the Gnarly Forest feat, which provides certain benefits. So, which is in this, I'm assuming?
Correct.
Okay. Beautiful. Anyone have any questions about this one? The factions. Oh, so wait, Gaetano had a question way back that I missed. I apologize, Gaetano. Let me scroll back. I know I saw it. Ever think of going back to your idea for an Iron League campaign? That came from Gaetano Lafavi.
My idea for an Iron League campaign never leaves me. I have this grand idea of mixing a miniatures war game with a naval war game and an RPG, all interacting with each other. And if I ever make it happen, it's going to be based off of the articles that Gary and Rob Kuntz did in Dragon back in the 80s. Detailing, this is what happened in 570 in 577 and 78, where the armies of Medigia invaded into the Iron League. All that would be the background for what's going on, and I want to have like the armies going, and then we'd have fleet battles off in the Azure Sea and so forth, and just have all that stuff interacting with each other. But so to answer the question, yes, I would dearly love to do it, but it's just such an ambitious thing. I've never actually gone and done it. It might be a really cool. It just occurred to me. It might be a really cool thing to try over a con weekend, like having having a couple of miniature war game battles that influence what happens on the RPG table, and then you have a couple more minutes, and over the course of the weekend, they influence each other, and the whole thing unfolds. Maybe for Gary Con next year.
That would be
I will need other DMs. Let's make this happen, guys.
Sure. I mean, I have.
Expect that, did you?
Well, if you combine that with some scenarios in D&D 1E, 2E, or whatever you're running 1E, and then have that influence the entire game.
Exactly. There'd be like spy missions.
That sounds awesome.
Reconnaissance and stuff like that. All that would all come together, and you'd have a whole matrix of, if this happens in this scenario, this happened, and make it all work out.
Joe, we only live like 2.5 hours apart too.
Yeah, you can get together and work on this. Yep.
Katana, let's see what you started, man. More stuff I gotta do.
Yeah.
No. But we had Joe. So I had a Heroes of Greyhawk night on my stream the night before PAX Unplugged started this year, and Anna came and Christoph came, and so.
What happened? We only live 2.5 hours away.
That's what I mean. I'm saying.
ready.
I'm saying, man, I'm saying that this year's Heroes of Greyhawk pre-PAX night is going to be awesome. So we'll have some more people, and Anna's probably going to be working it. She'll be in. So we'll have fun with that, and maybe we could do some things because this being our 40th year of the campaign, so we're really trying to step up with a lot of fun. So excellent. Did I miss any questions on there? Someone's speaking about it yet, but you need to check out Joe's work on the Becklunish Pantheon. So good.
Oh,
Yes, that
From
was a good one
Carlos.
too. Yep.
So where can they find that?
they can find that on the blog, greyhawkgrognard.com.
All right. So on the blog, guys. You want to?
There's actually more on something related to that.
Okay.
I'm going to be doing something similar to that because, for those who don't know what we're talking about, I did a series of faux Dragon magazine articles. Yeah, it's kind of
The
my
Dragon.
And it had the different Becklunish deities that aren't in the gold box, and it had new monsters and magic items, and it had a thing on like how the Paynim tribes migrate over the course of the year, and a whole, it had a gazetteer expansion and a map and all that stuff. I'm planning on doing the same treatment for Zahindia.
Nice.
Which is the India analog southwest of the Sea of Dust.
Wow.
I want to do exactly the same thing. New monsters, I'll put a whole pantheon. And one of the things I have for that is I want to make the Sul Imperium, when the Sul Imperium was destroyed, part of their population migrated south into Zahindia. And that kind of takes the place of the Aryan invasion theory that we have here in the real world, where people think that the Aryans came into India and established the caste system, and so there's a whole interaction of the native Zahindians with the Sul and on and on. And I'm also a big fan of anybody watch the TV show Ancient Aliens?
Mm-hmm. With the guy with the hair.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's Aliens.
The Greek guy with the hair. Yeah.
Yeah. They did a couple of episodes where they kind of posited that the way that Hindu temples are constructed were modeled after alien spacecraft, and they would actually lift up. I'm going to actually have that happen.
Whoa! Nice.
So that the temples of the Zahindian gods can actually lift off the ground and fight the other gods. So I got a whole thing in my mind, and I just got to get it on paper, and it's going to happen eventually. So that's coming.
That is another man. See how busy you are? You're swamped.
Yeah.
So
I don't think he ever sleeps.
I want to say something that is going to sound to any of my players are on that I took weapon proficiencies and made them come a little bit faster, and then took certain feats in 3E and melded it together, just to create like a true proficiency system for like fighting styles and things instead of using kits. And this is the first time in a while. I've always looking for feats that I can add in that make sense and are not too imbalancing. Here we go. I'll give you an example. Silent method. You ready? Prerequisite. This is the third publication of the Greyhawk feats. Okay, really some cool stuff. Silent method. Prerequisite. You must come from Keeland. Well, we know we have a lot of people from Keeland in my campaign, and have at least one level as a sorcerer or wizard. You are a student of the Lonely Tower of Silent Ones of Keelish Magical Order. When casting Dispel Magic, +2 bonus, or which would be 10% in 1E, 2E rolls to dispel curses, transmutation spells, and enchantment spells. Neat. Oh, really neat. So I mean, just something that it's campaign specific to Greyhawk, guys. So
I got to say the feat one. Two things. First of all, this is pretty much an adaptation of the stuff that Eric Mona did back in Dragon.
Oh, okay. All right.
I did put in some new ones, like feats for the different knightly orders that I mentioned in the factions book.
Okay.
Those are new, but on the whole, these are just kind of translations of the Eric Mona stuff. But this is actually the one that I got the most heat about,
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait. From who?
Commenters on the blog. They thought these were nerfed, and there was no reason to take them because they're not as they don't give you enough to make up for the fact that you're not getting a +1 strength or whatever.
Oh my god!
And I gotta say, I was a little surprised because these have been floating around since 30.
This is
They're de-emphasizing.
okay. So let's get this straight. If you're a power gamer, yes. If you are a character creator, you want this stuff.
Well, that's just it. If I was playing in a 5th edition Greyhawk game, I'd be all over these. I'd want to have the badge of bondage or whatever, because I was an ex-slave from the from Ayuz or whatever.
And Joe has prerequisites in here. So the badge of bondage, for example, prerequisite: you must originally come from a nation where slavery is tolerated, and then there's a list. So you can't take this if you're frickin' from Keeland, or from Principality Ulick, So
yeah.
It's hey, what's up, Nicholas? It's a it's cool, and there's stuff for gnomes in here too. I saw, and halflings. Deep seer. Prerequisite: deep gnome, stout halfling, or mountain dwarf. Your underground heritage helps you see better in underground. Basic. But then again, you got to understand that this is not for everyone, right? Because of that power gaming aspect that a lot of people like to do. But it's for people who really want to develop their characters up. So I'm going to pull some of these into my campaign.
Yeah, and for me, like I say, this is just it's complete fluff. And
exactly.
I was actually very mindful that I didn't want to unbalance the game. I didn't want to make these things too powerful. They can, because there's one thing I can't stand. It's people who power build and if I take this feat and this skill and I stack them together and I get the that is an alien way of playing the game to me.
Yeah, understood.
I want to interact with the setting.
Yeah, me too. But that's so common in a lot of game styles these days is that character build is 80% of the game for a lot of people.
I've actually seen videos that just show how to build characters.
Yeah.
Now,
I'm literally baffled by that.
There are well, people put vids on anything.
For 5e and Pathfinder, that's for a lot of gamers. That's it, so to speak. That's the game for them. It's like carving the perfect chess piece to go on the board with.
Yeah, how to ring the every little +1 to hit.
Yeah, but to me, it's a perfect viable way to play the game, but it's not the way I play the game.
Exactly,
so,
and it's not unique to 5th or 3rd or anything.
No, Pathfinder is
back in the LBDs.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there are some cool, really offbeat, and I'm not sure if Eric did this one or not, or you did this one, Troll-Blooded. All right, so
that's
here's
an Eric one.
Okay, Troll-Blooded. You must have the toughness feat. It says you must also come from Frost, Ice, the Pale, or Snow Barbarians, and you must be originally 1st level. So you got to take it right at the beginning. One of your distant ancestors was a troll.
You've got the first version.
Oh, I do.
There's an updated version.
Oh, I'm sorry.
At 1st level, you can't take 2 feats, so that was kind of an impossibility. So.
Oh, okay. So you made it 4th or whatever. You made it by what level? Okay. Yeah. All right, that's no problem.
But yeah, you're part troll. Yeah, exactly. You're one of your ancestors, and those are the lands that come from around the troll fens. That's why those are the places you have to come from, because the troll fens, obviously are where all the trolls are. So if you come from the lands around there, one of your ancestors had that, and you regenerate limbs.
Yeah, if one of your limbs is severed, it'll go back in 3 to 6 days. If you can recover it within an hour, you can reattach it by holding it to the stump. That's funny. However, in direct,
specifically beat me on that because there's no rules for severing limbs in 5th edition. So
what happens with a troll?
It's useless.
So, wait. What happens when a troll gets its limbs severed in a fight?
It can't, because
it can't.
There's no mechanic for severing limbs.
All right. Well, there's no critical hit table.
They don't have Vorpal swords in 5th edition?
Yes, that's the only way you can do it.
Head cut off and you're dead, yeah.
So that was the criticism. The only way this is worthwhile taking is...
man. But it's going to be worthwhile because I'm going to back convert it. So there you go. All right. So, but there's a penalty in direct sunlight. You have a -1 penalty to your initiative, and that's all the time. So that's not, So there's negatives and positives with it. But wait, here's my favorite: Washtree's Blessing. Hey, I have a spell with that name. It's
Wastree is one of my favorite characters. And it's so underutilized.
Oh, I love Wastree.
Everything is EUs, and I want Wastree.
Right, Gitano, Wastree. He played and Carlos Wastree in my the Horn Holes. You have a connection to Wastree, the Hopping Prophet, and have been marked as his servant. Because of this, you add double your con modifier when determining how long you can hold your breath when traveling in swampy terrain, and it is impossible to track you unless you deliberately leave a trail. Very, very cool. Joe, did you use the All That Glitters module? That's a UK module, and that's from Jason. So he's asking that question. I'm not sure what the reference is to that, Jason.
I use it. What?
Carlos was asking too.
Oh, Carlos was asking too.
Oh yeah, All That Glitters module. Yep.
Oh, there it is. Yes. Okay. It wasn't highlighted. Yeah. Since you're going south of the Sewell Basin with one of your next release, will you come with some of the touch on the material put forth in the All That Glitters? I guess that's part of the discussion.
Yeah, the whole trilogy that happens in the thing.
Good questions.
I'll have to reread them because I got to say I ran them back when I was in high school, and I doubt that I've actually opened them up since. But yes, anything that's official from that part of the Flonesse, I'm going to have to read as part of the research, including the Sea of Death book, the Gordon the Road book, that actually has people from those regions.
So, Frank, I got a suggestion, and I don't want to burn an announcement, but when Anne runs something that's I don't want to be specific, in Greyhawk, she should incorporate these feats into your 5e.
Yeah.
So there you go. That would be awesome. Mike, Annie, got any questions about the feed system?
Actually, I was just going to throw out that on Ian World, they had an article recently about feats, 5th edition feat selection on D&D Beyond, which is their character building thing. And only 4% of people use feats at levels 1 through 3.
No, I'm going to take issue with that because everybody uses feats to walk around. And they'd be hobbling around on their ankles, and I'm gonna take issue with that statistic.
Right.
Sorry, I'm actually hanging my head in shame now.
I think part of that is that people just don't play humans, and you have to take that human variant to get the feat at first level. So what I was going to say is the original Mona article that you adapted stuff from, those were regional feats.
Right.
Which I think were intended, if I could be wrong, to be bonus feats at character creation.
That's what I think originally, yes.
Oh, so okay.
I don't know.
All right. Interesting.
Take that as you will.
Yeah, I think I have a vague recollection about that too, that it was bonus feat.
Because Forgotten Realms started the regional feat power creep back in the day.
Yeah,
I recall.
Living Greyhawk had something similar.
Very interesting.
Yeah, that's the reason he published the article, is because Forgotten Realms had them first. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the cool thing is that it's another thing you can take and do with it as you wish. You know, you want to use it at character creation, that's great. If you want to use it as regular feats, that's great in your game. You know.
So if I were doing it, I would just say, look at all these Greyhawk feats. Everyone take one at character creation. After that, no, you're on your own.
I'd be up for that too.
Awesome. Definitely, and that may help with the character creation of where you come from.
Because it's not unbalanced if everyone starts with one.
Good idea.
Well, for your NPCs.
It's a very, very good idea.
Yeah.
Yep. I need to get through it more of it. So yeah. So those are the 3 that are out currently.
Yeah, the Gods one is coming. Again, depending on the reaction that I've gotten from these, there's another one coming that has races and classes, more basic stuff. It has like Valley Elves, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The racial variants that are unique to Greyhawk.
Grugak.
Exactly. Those kinds of things will be in another one. I got a whole bunch of this stuff.
Jason wants to know if you use monster mythology.
It's a 2E
Yes.
blue book. Yeah, it's a great book.
Oh yeah, I love that one.
That's actually one of my favorite of those DMs kind of books. Yeah.
Oh, come on. The complete book of Necromancers isn't? That's fantastic. You're like, I'm serious.
Well, yeah, most of that series are dynamite. They're
Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah.
So I want to ask you about that class-wise. I noticed on DM's Guild the following classes, and if I missed one: Necromancer, Witch, Demonolator, Jester, Bard, Mystic, Savant. Tell me about your Necromancer.
My Necromancer, this was actually one of the first ones I did. It's a supposedly an NPC class, in the way that in the early Pages of Dragon, they were NPC. It's a new kind of magic user. Magic user class. A lot of the spells obviously are going to deal with undead and things like that. It's designed for evil campaigns. If it has spells like the
Vampire Touch,
Vampire's Kiss, things like that. A lot of them are allow you to take on powers of the undead. Some of them will, are specific.
like a ghast robe does. Something like that, like a ghast robe does, and the eye is, the eye is priests wear. Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Cool. All right.
Exactly. So it's very much of a classic evil. All the witch, the necromancer, and the demonolator are all evil character classes.
Okay.
Specifically, the witch, for example, you can do a hand of glory, you can do a black mass, things like that. It's Hansel and Gretel. It's not sexy witch who's the Wiccan on Charmed. It's not.
Have you ever, Joe? Have you ever looked at Timothy Brannan's witches stuff?
Oh yes.
Oh, it's beautiful.
He did a whole workup on my witch class.
Oh, good, excellent. That's
his criticism was that because the way I had witches was kind of a Northern European take on it. Every time a witch gains a level, they lose a point of charisma. So you couldn't have a classical, beautiful witch like Circe from Greek mythology.
Right.
So that was his only criticism of it. But yeah, he's absolutely he and I exchange stuff all the time.
Excellent. Yeah, we use his base first edition witch as a class in our campaign. Absolutely, did a great job on it. So the Jester is the Jester based on the Dragon Magazine Jester?
No.
That was adamant. So, okay.
There's been like 5.
Right, the Troubadour, the Juggler, all that stuff too.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
This is the new classes that come out of Adventures Dark and Deep are mostly based on Gary Gygax's Legendary Journeys.
I got it. When he brought that publication out.
That was the first thing he did after he left TSR.
Okay.
It was by who somebody in the comments help me out.
New Infinities.
No, it was not New Infinities.
Oh, okay.
This was the same place that did BattleTech.
FASA.
Thank you. I gotta check this now.
You can check it.
Okay.
So,
yep.
all right,
Now we're getting nerdy here. Yep. Mm-hmm.
No, I'm wrong. It was GDW.
Games Design Workshop.
Yep. Another classic.
Games Design Workshop. So most of the new classes that are in Adventures Dark and Deep are based on the skill system that he created for Dangerous Journeys.
So, all right. So, I never looked at any of the Dangerous Journeys books, but I remember, when was it, in the 90s it came out?
Yeah.
Mid-90s, like when second edition was weaning down, correct? Sometime around then. I never picked it up. I look. All right, I'll ask Carlos's question and PU pick up Dad question in a second here. Thank you for the questions, everyone, and contributing to it. Oh, there we go. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So let's find out.
Yeah.
You're gonna ask me this. You're gonna ask specific questions. I'm gonna give you specific answers.
That's awesome.
This is 92.
Perfect.
Okay, so
Yeah.
There
early
you
in
go.
the 90s.
Dead on.
Yeah.
Right when the City Greyhawk box set came out.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. So we're going to do another Carlos question. What classes do you enjoy playing the most? Which of the classes that you've created do you think you'd enjoy playing the most? So 2 questions.
Mountebank.
What?
The Mountebank.
Mountebank. I don't have that one down.
It's a subclass of the thief. It's a con man.
Okay.
Nice.
And he's got a lot of verbal patter kind of skills. I've actually played a mountebank in a campaign that a friend of mine ran of Adventures Dark and Deep, and I gotta say, that's me. I love being able to convince people and befuddle people and distract them and look over here, and to me
Try not
that's
to-
that's
Combat
the
doesn't solve
way to do
everything.
it.
So,
Yeah, it's kind of like a show.
how about okay, Mystic and Savant are like type of spellcasters.
Yeah, mystics are a subclass of cleric. Savants are a subclass of magic user. The mystics are kind of more mentally attuned. Both of them are emphasizing things like divination spells and
Okay.
spells that affect creatures from other planes.
A lot of times they tend to be NPCs because of activity for the most part in your games.
Not so much.
Okay.
Because they're think of them as like an exorcist.
Okay.
So if you have characters of those classes in the game, you're going to want to emphasize things like demonic possession and creatures from other planes and things like that, because that's where their spells are concentrated.
PU Pickup Dad has a question. Your Necromancer is a subclass of cleric or mage? Or is it its own base class, kind of like certain classes are?
No, it's a subclass of mage.
Okay, that's what I thought. And for example, I have my Necromancer. It's funny because I have a Necromancer. Alan Growy's got a Necromancer, and you have a Necromancer. Alan Growy and I compared notes one night. He was here one night, and we compared notes, and they were like almost. It was funny how close they were. But I allow Cleric Necromancer as a multi-class option in my game. Do you allow any of these classes to be multi-classed in the old 1E style?
Well, that's up to the DM.
Okay.
Because they're optional NPC classes,
Right.
It's I don't include them in the grid and stuff. They're not in the base. They're not in the core rulebook.
Got it.
Those 3 evil classes. But honestly, I would have no problem with somebody who wanted to be a necromancer cleric, especially like a cleric of Orcus or something like that.
Is the Demonolator an anti-paladin?
No.
Okay.
No, the Demonolator.
Demonology, so I said it so wrong.
It's a subclass of cleric that worships demon lords.
Okay.
So, depending on which demon lord is your patron, you get different powers with different spells.
That sounds
Fancy
cool.
cult leader.
Say it again.
A fancy cult leader.
Yes, exactly.
That sounds
so
cool.
If you're a Demonolator who worships Demogorgon, you're going to have a certain set of abilities and such. And if you're a Demonolator who worships Orcus, you're going to have a different set. I'm actually working on an anti-paladin because my ultimate goal is to put all these together with a couple new classes and put it into a book.
Tim.
Let's ask this question, Joe, and roundtable this. Do these demons exist in Greyhawk, and are they considered canon or not, or is it just something that you throw in, like Demogorgon, Asmodeus? What do you think, Anna?
Oh yes, I think they do. Anyone who read the Gord books, all of them,
Okay.
can have no doubt about it, because he goes deep into the netherworld and all the different planes, and there's whole chapters about the awesome struggles and Grast is going to build his alliance with other demons and all the yelling and screaming and oh, it's fantastic. So I have
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's my take on it, is that Gary wrote that it so well in the Gord books, especially the later ones.
But I don't.
Darkness and
My point is, like 3rd edition on, it disappears though, doesn't it? Like
well,
they
it was
don't.
kind of,
I'm just curious. Yeah.
Had and TSR had the kind of the religious scare and all that too. I guess they had
Okay,
the
well,
Paul
that makes
Matesu
sense.
and all that. So they were still there, but they were called different things for some
Yeah,
years.
the
They came back.
Tanari and yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But
Well,
I kind of like those
the
names to
blood-
certain types of demons and devils can have those names. So
Yeah,
so
like
they kind
we talked
yeah.
about it on Saturday night. Glaberzu, Nalfishni.
Yeah. But then in third edition they came back because then you had the those books when you had the glorious and you had the demonomic and the what was the you had some really evil books that
Book
had
of
warning
Vows.
labels on them
Well,
in
that's when
third
they had the
edition.
blood war. That's when they
Yeah.
created the
Blood
blood war
Mhm.
between the demons and the devil.
Yeah. But that was something that was described in Gary's books, Endless and all the struggles. Not so much the blood war named. Well, I'm pretty sure that he was maybe even used the term. I'm not sure, but it is
No.
definitely all the struggle in between the
But
different factions.
But the thing that TSR and Wizards of the Coast kind of lost was the idea that there's also these daemons.
Yeah,
Definitely.
exactly. They lost
the
the middle
neutral
ground.
evil daemons.
Yep.
Are in Hades between the
Yep.
abyss
Metal.
and
Yeah, the
non-evil.
sticks. One of them is the boatman Sharana demons.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and
I love
the-
Monster
the-
Manual too.
Yep.
Yeah, I do too.
And the battlegrounds in the middle and all that.
Okay.
Right, and like Tartarus and
Yeah,
Just as
exactly.
long as we don't
Yep.
see Modrons anywhere,
But
please.
But I guess it was kind of too complicated. Sometimes they wanted to simplify it. I guess it's enough to have two evil sides when you can have five. Might be a bit too much. Yeah.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, because who here has used Demodans in their game?
I have. Yep.
Yeah,
Atari Demodan.
Gary
Yeah.
Hooley
I have.
just said no love for him.
I love that stuff and sigil and
I
you
love
had all
slots
sorts
too.
of factions. They went all
Slots are
overboard
cool.
and stuff. I kind of love that. That was so cool.
I actually created in Adventures Dark and Deep. I created a white slot. Well, I had to change the name, but the white slot is something that if you're a neutral evil spellcaster, you can get as a familiar in place of a imp or a quasit.
Nice.
Nice.
Oh yes.
Cool.
So not
That's
neutral, chaotic neutral. Yeah.
That's awesome. Good to see that we're some of us are on the same brainwave. And Mike, you agree 100% that that's all good,
yeah.
good to go. All right, good. Just came to me as a question to throw out there.
Yeah, great question. Yep.
Thank you. What of all these custom classes, what's your favorite?
Which custom ones?
The ones that we've discussed. The Necromancer.
The evil ones or the new ones?
Let's do the evil ones.
Probably the Necromancer.
Okay.
I like the idea of casting a spell and then you get the power of an undead creature.
Yeah,
I like that idea.
and you like that. Plus, I imagine they have draining spells too.
Oh yeah, there's all kinds of.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Beautiful. That is a tough call. You know, that twinge of necromancy. I maybe allow it a little. I allow neutral characters to play necromancers, but it's right on the edge. Just because I don't want that evil taint in the adventuring party. I just don't. You know. Then it gets really parties don't get anything accomplished. So what and as far as the other classes, the mountebank, it sounds like you love the mountebank.
The mountebank is my that's my.
It's such a great name.
Yeah, it's a cool name. That's a cool name. I've got to check them out. Excellent. Cool. So why don't we talk about something old? Like the Castle of the May, when you started it. I know the picture's up there. That's courtesy of Gitano. I couldn't find it anywhere to download it, but I found out Gitano posted it. And I was like, oh, cool. So thank you for doing it. And that's the original cover?
That was because originally I was posting them one level a month on the blog.
Okay.
And they were actually in Greyhawk. You know, I used all the Greyhawk IP. And eventually I got to the point where I wanted to publish it. So I kind of neutralized the Greyhawk stuff. It's Greyheim now. And yeah. So the genesis of Castle of Mount Archmage was Castle Zagig.
Mm-hmm.
Was Gary's, the box set that they had that Troll Lord Games was putting out. They were going to do a series of these boxes, detailing not the original Castle Greyhawk, but a kind of a synthesis of the best parts of it.
Cool.
And there was going to be like 4 or 5 or 6 box sets that would do the whole dungeon complex. And then Gary died after the first one was published, The Upper Works. And for whatever reason, the Widow Gygax yanked the license from Troll Lords. They had to pulp the remaining copies if there were any. I'm sure people scooped them up. I got one. And then she was posting stuff, like, oh, we're going to do great things with the stuff, and we're going to do that. And then a year went by and nothing happened. And another 9 months went by. It just, nothing happened with it. And eventually I got tired of waiting. Kind of like what I did with the 5th edition Greyhawk stuff. I got tired of waiting, and I decided I was going to just keep going. So my Castle of Man Archmage originally started as level 2 of the dungeon, where all the stairways and everything else lined up with what Troll Lords had published. And eventually it just kind of grew into it's my homage to Castle Greyhawk, but its genesis was the fact that I wanted Gary's Greyhawk.
Right. So you got one level.
Right, and I couldn't get it other than this one dungeon level.
Oh,
so
man.
I had to just keep going. So eventually I filled it all in, and I did did the surface ruins and the first level to make it a complete thing. It's funny because somebody actually did a first level of the dungeon, which they called the Mad Archmage's Castle, because at the time mine started on level 2. So they did their own level 1 because you couldn't buy level 1 anymore because Troll Lords lost the license. And then after that, I did my own level 1 and my own ruins. But that was the genesis of that. I love Castle Zagreus, that first box. God, that was perfect. It was exactly what I wanted.
Yeah, it's kind of. Oh, sorry. Go on.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say it was. I had this basically the same start with doing my Flanese map was because back in, I think it was like 95 or something, they sent out a TSR catalog and there was like the Atlas of Greyhawk or the Atlas of Flanese. I forgot which one it was. And it was listed with an ESBN number. And I was part owner of a game store and was like, oh yes, put in the order. I need it. And it didn't came out. And then the whole year went by and nothing happened. And then I sent them a letter, physical letter, because this is like early 90s. So I sent them a letter and we got back and said that, well, something happened and we don't have it and it's not being published, period. And then I knew that what happened afterwards was probably that was the maps that Paizo gave out in Dungeon or Dragon magazine. That was I guess some of that was the illustrations that was going to be the basis of that Atlas book. And so that when that didn't came out, I have to start doing my own. So that was the embryo of me actually starting mapping it, was that the product that didn't see the light of day that was advertised. Well,
it's kind of the same thing with me and doing the back Lunish Basin stuff that I did.
Yeah.
And the Zahindian stuff that I'm about to do. This is the stuff that I wanted I wanted this in 1985.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if only they had given it to me.
Yeah. So in a way, it's good that they didn't publish stuff. Then we got it. Yeah, we made it instead. Yeah.
I don't know. I would have liked to see it.
One of us needs to.
I would love to see it anyway. So yeah.
One of us needs to hit the lottery for $1 billion and just buy it from Hasbro. Buy Greyhawk back.
That thought has crossed my mind.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think I've heard some serious people talking about how much money you're supposed to have in order to do it, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's fantasy land, right? Too, but so I want to ask this. I have a question, but Carlos had a question, and I don't want to forget this one. It's way back. Did you ever have an opportunity to play with Gary Gygax?
No.
Okay.
I do have a Gary Gygax memory, but it is not playing with him. I was at Gen Con in the late 80s, and I was like 18 or 19 or whatever, and I saw him in a bar. And he was just sitting at the bar, and I go up to the bartender and I'm like, I want to buy that guy a beer. And he's like, well, you're not old enough. I was like, I know. I promise I'm not going to drink it. I'm going to take it to his table and you can watch me take it over there. And I explained who that was and why. And the bartender eventually poured me a beer, and I took it over to Gary Gygax, and I gushed about how much I loved him and thanked him. And he thanked me. He was very gracious. Obviously, I was just a big geeky nerd. He knew he knew that. But my only face-to-face experience with Gary, other than getting him to sign a few things, was I bought Gary Gygax a beer at Gen Con.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's a good story.
Yep.
Yeah, that's my guy. That's my Gary.
Awesome brush with greatness. So, back to the Castle, the Mad Archmage. Will you ever finish it? I asked Alan on his too.
I can't imagine. I mean, there's always going to be more side levels and more.
Okay.
Is that kind of
stuff to write,
infinite? It's like
I was just curious.
It's infinite amount of levels down. You can just dig deeper and
Yeah, you keep, well, and there's also there's extra plane things.
Yeah.
Like Music Land is a perfect example. Music Land is its own demi-plane that you get to through Castle of Mad Archmage. You can have you can have hundreds of those. There's still many that are mentioned in Castle of Mad Archmage that I haven't developed yet.
Awesome.
There's one that goes into the Nutcracker
Music Land.
The Nutcracker Suite. Oh,
there's one that goes into the land of the Nutcracker Suite that I haven't even thought about doing yet. There's that kind of stuff built in there. Plus, right now I've only done the core levels. Every one of those 13 levels theoretically has side levels north, south, east, and west. I've done a grand total of 2 of those. Level 3 east and level 4 south. There's a ton more of those side levels that I can do. I've got, I'm working on a bunch of them, but no, I don't see it ever ending.
5e.
Yeah. So, is that published in 5e? Event the castle, or is it published in Osric or published in?
Well, this is where, remember on Facebook
The announcement.
I said there's an announcement coming.
Let's hear it. Here we go.
Yeah.
Good question, Josh.
I'll be waiting for an hour now.
I am actively working on converting Castle of Mad Archmage to 5th edition.
Shoot.
I am right now in the 2nd dungeon level. My hope is to have it done by the end of the year.
And will you concurrently do both at that point on? Like,
in terms of, you mean the expansion levels?
Yeah.
It depends on the reception that the 5th edition gets. I hired somebody to do a Pathfinder version of Castle of Mad Archmage. And to be blunt, it has not been racing off my shelves.
Okay.
And that's why I've not poured the money into making conversions of the expansion modules. I'm optimistic that the 5th edition version will do a little better, but it's all going to depend. If people want the 5th edition version, you bet your ass I'm going to be making versions of the expansions.
Well, just the response in the chat is hugely popular.
No, so it is.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yep.
So, and these are people who will spend coin on getting it. So, that's a good thing to do. So, finishing it by the end of the year, that would be awesome. Mike, you have any other questions about the castle?
Castle?
Yeah, Castle Mad Archmage, or any,
That announcement was kind of the cherry on top.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was.
Well,
So
thank
you know what to do
Thank you very
run
much.
next year. Yep.
That is, because I mean, how many hours of play do you think it is right now?
Oh God. I ran a campaign that met every 2 weeks, and they played almost exclusively in Mad Archmage. That ran for a year and a half, and they didn't get they barely got through a quarter of it. You can literally play this for years.
Okay. Josh asked if they'd be sold at GaryCon. I said next year, not this year, because you won't be there this year. Okay. Yep. So, but I imagine once they're announced, it's out. I mean, it'll be right on DM's Guild. Is that where you put most of, or I mean, on drive-through?
It'll be on drive-through. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely. It'll
Awesome.
be on drive-through. It'll be at cons. It'll be the whole deal.
Fantastic. Well, that's a great announcement. Definitely. Let's go a little light-hearted humor. I have to do this. This cover disturbs the hell out of me. The clown. It disturbs me. He's something fierce. Absolutely. Go ahead.
I get so many reactions to that cover at cons. It's like people say, "What? No."
Yeah.
In fact, at GaryCon, the people who were next to me, they sell these acrylic bases and stuff like that. They had the booth next to mine at GaryCon. The guy hates clowns, so his wife bought him a copy of this.
Wow.
Just to mess with him.
What's the synopsis on the adventure?
You are in it's a kind of a demi-plane thing. You're in a circus in its winter quarters, where there are evil clowns and jesters, and there's a menagerie, and you're just kind of going around there trying not to be killed by these people as they're in the middle of practicing all of their all of their bits.
Oh my god! If I ran that, my would kill me.
Bitterbark is a very cool character because he's an evil jester, and he's got his own voice, you know. And when I'm playing it,
oh my gosh!
Now comedy, that's hard. Dying's easy, you know. So you kind of gotta roll with it.
Oh my gosh. That is just like that's disturbing. It is really disturbing, and I'm glad to see you have a sense of humor about it. That is
well, that particular one, and that's actually a really cool example because I just found that on DeviantArt. I just typed in evil clown on DeviantArt, and that came up, and I contacted the artist, and he's like,
1 million hits.
He had painted it like 5-8 years ago. He didn't care anymore. It's like, yeah, just give me a copy of the adventure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Perfect.
Yeah. Perfect. Yep.
Wow. How many modules have you written that you've published? Roughly.
Including Castleman Archmage?
Separate.
Okay, so let's see. 6.
Okay. Are they all on drive-through?
Yeah, everything's on drive.
All right, and they're all under BRW.
Correct.
Okay. Alrighty.
And you can get there from GreyhawkGrognard.com. It's up in the upper right.
Excellent. Any favorites out of those 6? Like something that would fit into Greyhawk nicely?
Well, my favorite one is something called the Treasure of Wellthorpe. And it's not necessarily that it plugs into Greyhawk nicely, but it was specifically designed to be a module that you could do without combat.
Wow.
Yeah, I designed it specifically to highlight the new classes in Adventures Dark and Deep because they have a lot of verbal patter skills, and you can influence people and convince people and stuff like that. So the premise is the players have a treasure map, and they go to where X marks the spot. Unfortunately, somebody has built a village there in the meantime. So they have to subtly ask the villagers about all these landmarks that have gotten moved over the last 100 years without cluing the villagers into the fact that they're looking for treasure.
All right.
As soon as the villagers figure out, they're looking for treasure, they wake up the next morning and there's holes dug all over them.
I'm going to ask you a question. Don't take offense to this. Did you rip this off from an old Kung Fu episode?
I did not.
Okay, because something happens with the old David Carradine Kung Fu episode with an Indian burial ground. It sounded very similar. I was just like,
I did watch Kung Fu when I was a kid, but no, that if so, that was completely.
Hey, sometimes you get inspiration from weird places.
Yeah.
So now that sounds pretty cool. Treasure of Wellthwood.
Wellthorpe.
Wellthorpe. Okay, Wellthorpe.
Yeah. And it's just quick. You know, it's a short module.
Levels.
It's like it's first.
Okay.
You know, it's really just meant to introduce players to using the savant and the mountebank and the jester and the bard and things like that.
I like it.
Yeah,
Sounds so much fun.
something different.
Although,
Is always.
speaking of kung fu,
Mhm.
I do have one book. Probably my favorite book that I published is called The Golden Scroll of Justice.
Okay.
It is an Oriental Adventures book, but it's based on ancient China instead of ancient Japan. And the reason I did that was I was tired of people saying Oriental Adventures and it's all samurais and ninjas.
Right.
This is based on Chinese mythology, folklore, wuxia movies. It's got a
Shaolins.
What's that?
Shaolin priests are in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It's got that's where the monk class is, because there's no monk in the Adventures Dark and Deep player's manual. It's in this book. And there's a kung fu system that's based on the skill system Adventures Dark and Deep. So you spend XP to learn different kung fu skills, and they kind of stack with each other. And if you can get levels in that skill and such. But the idea is that anybody can learn kung fu. So you can have a magic user with kung fu. You can have a thief with kung fu. It doesn't have to be a martial artist or a monk. Anybody can have it, and it's got monsters from Chinese mythology.
Nice.
And it's got a section on how to run an ancient China campaign, and it's got new classes and spells, all drawn from mythology, and folklore, and stuff like that. That's actually the book I'm proudest of.
Thick. I'm assuming that sounds like a thick book, man.
No, it's really not.
Okay.
It's about the same size as the GM's guide.
Okay.
It's my favorite one because it really shows up the power of the skill system, which is actually something that Gary invented. Gary did that for Troll Lord Games when the Castle Man Archmage was coming out. They put out this free download of a skill system for Castles and Crusades, where you spend XP to learn skills. I took that and I kind of ran with it in Adventures Dark and Deep. I kind of expanded on it, and I used a lot of the NPC skills from the original Dungeon Master's Guide turned into skills for here. So like sage skills from the DM's Guide is now the scholarship skill, that kind of thing. But when I went to the Golden Scroll of Justice, I used that as the basis for the Kung Fu skill. And it really shows the power of you need to choose. Do I want to spend those XP to gain a level, or do I want to spend those XP to gain this skill, which is going to buff me in combat or whatever?
Okay.
And I credit it all to Gary because he came up with this idea for Castles and Crusades. I just kind of took it to its logical conclusion. So
yeah, that's great to
that's
hear
my
that
favorite book out.
Gary had influence that late. That's great.
Yeah.
Is that book available as well on?
Yes, that's everything's on drive-thru.
Okay, so everything Gitano and everyone else is on drive-thru. Everything that we're talking about here. Anna, Mike, any other questions in this realm for?
Jason Zavoda wanted to ask about the old Dragon Magazine article.
Oh
Yes.
Yes, see the Palmarge and die. Yes.
Mhm.
I was a Greyhawk fan back in the day. I wrote this article,
Issue 167.
What's that?
Issue 167.
167. I have about 8 of them sitting on the shelf.
Nice.
And it was just my attempt to kind of expand and drill down into an area of the Palmarge. Remember, this was back before. From the Ashes. This was before Greyhawk Wars, so it was all just kind of,
But you
I know.
you wrote that and sent it in, and
yeah, just wrote it,
Submitted
sent it in, and 2 years later, I got a letter saying we're publishing it.
wow.
Now, I was actually looking into that before you came on. I went back and looked at that article again. The very first bit of it says that this is an unofficial something something about it, and then I thought to myself, because now I would think it is official.
It's quasi-official because they did use my table of the humanoid tribes in the
Slavers.
Greyhawk, in the Greyhawk players guide.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So they actually footnoted it, which was
Wow.
wow. So, but in terms of the history and all that other stuff, I would go so far as to say the history stuff that I put in there is still unofficial. You
don't think it made the Living Greyhawk Gazetteer?
I know it didn't make the Living. Well, actually,
I don't know.
It didn't make the
Crovis and all that.
I know a lot of people like Crovis, who is the sleeping god of the Flan race, and I know a lot of people like the idea that the Pomarge name comes from the Poor March.
Exactly.
I was going to ask if you coined that.
I did. Yeah, that was me.
That's brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And but as far as the intricate history and stuff like that, I don't think I've seen that referenced anywhere in any official publication. But people have used bits and pieces here and there, so I have the dubious distinction of having a quasi-official influence on the show.
Beautiful.
Now, as to you pitching it, the other thing that I noticed from looking at that magazine issue again was that the publisher back then was James Ward and the editor was Roger Moore.
Mm-hmm.
I think you pitched that just at the right time.
It's very possible. The amount of time though that it took for that to get into publication, I literally went from college to a job to the Air Force before I physically got the issue in my hand. It was a 3-4 year process.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I've never known that.
Yeah, it was a lengthy bit of time. I was shocked when I got the check.
Very cool.
A third, sorry, Jay.
No,
the
go
third
for it,
thing I
Mike.
noticed was in that same issue, right after your article, was an article by Dave Howery, who, and this was on like Cenozoic mammals or something, but he would later go on to do the Dark Continent, which was a pseudo Monoland article. And I thought to myself, right around that era, and you say it took a few years to get published, but I really wonder if there could have been more Greyhawk articles pitched. That would have been an awesome time to have that happen.
I think if it had happened a little quicker, I might have cranked out a few more.
Yeah.
But by the time it actually hit the press, we were playing second edition. We were playing Dark Sun. It was kind of. I was in the Air Force. I didn't have a lot of time to that kind of stuff. So it, like you say, timing. If it had happened quicker, I was still in college when in college we would start playing D&D at 4 in the afternoon. We would stop playing D&D at dawn, and then we would play Avalon Hill Civilization. We would start playing which is like a 12-hour game.
Yeah.
So I had lots of time for gaming back then, more than I have now.
It's amazing how that shrinks as we get older. Well, hopefully, So, I'm at my, as I always tell Anna, I'm at my wife limit. Without me getting my ass kicked and thrown out of the house. So,
well, somebody on some blog a couple of years ago posited that the amount of time that we're going to have, that us old schoolers are going to have to design and write new stuff, is going to increase dramatically as we start hitting retirement age.
Well, when's that going to be? You know what I mean?
In my case, 12, 13 years.
Yeah, if I'm lucky, it's 10 to 15. So, but we'll see. It's good. I mean, I've learned a lot that I had no idea about on this discussion. I really, Joe, thank you for this to this point. Anna, what about you? Got any questions for Joe about any of the topics we discussed?
I was going to dig into the article because I read it a little while ago when I was digging into something else, and I think it's so cool. And I've seen so many other references to it, and people sent me. I think it was let's see, another Roger that wrote stuff and did stuff for. He sent me some stuff that he hadn't published, and he used a lot of your article for the material, but it never got published. But it was things that he sent me. I forgot his name now. Not Roger.
I'm
Moore.
always amazed when I get people who remember that article.
Yeah.
It had a great name.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
That article's my main influence for writing Greyhawk stuff.
Oh yeah, it's one of the
Awesome.
it's really a really cool article. So yeah.
Anna, are there any places from that article you can put on your map?
Oh yeah, as many as I could get away with.
Oh, you already
yeah.
have. Okay.
Oh
All right,
yeah,
cool.
yeah. That was one of
Awesome.
my main sources for it. And Paul Luby, not Roger, Paul Luby, I think was the guy in England that had written a lot of stuff, and he got some of it published, and there was more to be published, and he had a whole huge section written on Pomarsh that detailed it way more.
Huh.
And that's where I got a lot of the name from some of the tribes and stuff that weren't in your article, but he expanded it even further.
It's funny though, if you look at the names of those humanoid tribes, take a look at the original monster manual, and you'll find, like for the orcs, it'll like the dripping eye or whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But the names came from the monster manual.
Yep.
The idea was, well, yeah, they're famous orc tribe names because they're in the Palmar.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So that's where all that came.
Yep.
A lot of those connections just get lost over time, Joe, and I'm glad to see you've made them, because a lot of people don't. I mean, the reference is there. Use it.
I try. I try to throw in as much of that stuff as I can, and I think of them as Easter eggs.
Oh yeah, like the back scratcher.
Yeah, exactly. The back scratcher.
Definitely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Only people who have read that printing of the DM's guide are going to notice that reference.
So do you have the links?
I think it's worth throwing in for those people.
You have the links. Should we talk to this link? The last one monster we talked to, half the party. You have one of those references in there. That's in the monster manual.
Wait, what?
The giant links picture when they say the guys are talking, they say, "Should we talk to this links?"
Oh yes, yeah.
There's a lot of good ones in there. That's awesome. And Joe, what would you like to talk about? You got anything you'd want to talk about? You got your last two blog posts, which I'm hoping you want to talk about: Magical Gems in the David's Wondrous Lanthorn and the Zugtabi Prison as the Temple of the Eye. I mean, they were both pretty cool.
I have been, for the last couple of years, I have been going so deep into the Elder Elemental God.
Yes.
And Vault of the Crow and the Giants modules and all that. I have been going so nuts trying to make sense of all this. Because I'm trying to work things together in the way that Gary said it was originally supposed to work.
Okay. Let's hear some theories.
It's aliens.
Yeah, it's aliens. And it's just trying to make sense of it all. And then what prompted the last blog post on this was one of the commenters mentioned that the stones that you see on the floor of a room in the giant in Hall of the Fire Giant King is the same stone that you see in one of the rooms in Temple of Elemental Evil. They're both porphyry with serpentine, and I'm like, this must mean something. I must figure out.
Same artist.
I was just going to say, wasn't it just that they reused some art without anyone actually?
I honestly think that's what it was.
Yeah.
Gary thought porphyry and serpentine together meant demons. I think that's really what it was. But in the printed material, I want to try to make that connection.
Yeah.
So I went into all that stuff, and I'm actually making 4 new modules. Again, they'll be free. One is to include a shrine of the Elder Elemental God beneath Temple of Elemental Evil. The other is to make a whole campaign expansion for Temple of Elemental Evil, which is going to include the village of Sabanwich. It's going to have details on the river pirates and a whole bunch of other stuff that I've got. It'll have things in Verbabonk where the temple agents have infiltrated and stuff like that. So it's going to turn it into a whole big thing. Because it always occurred to me that you could never just do Village of Hamlet and the Moat House and then be anywhere close.
No, you have to do a ton of adventures.
You could be like 2nd or 3rd level, and you're going to the temple, it doesn't work. So I want to give the players a whole bunch of stuff to do in between to get them to a high enough level where they can actually do something.
We estimated between Temple and Nulb was 12 adventures.
It's something exactly. There's no way you can go from one to the other.
Yeah,
and have it be anything other than a TPK.
And Nulb's the most disappointing part, in my opinion, of all of TEE. Because it's kind of but if you develop, you got to develop a little more.
Nulb.
Did you?
Oh yes, I love Nulb.
In the module itself, they say it's up to the DM to develop Nulb in the same level of detail as we did Hamlet.
Yeah,
right,
it was.
Right,
I loved it because they had the old lady that did the potions and stuff, and they had the and that was kind of half ruined, and there was some poor bastards who ran it, and they basically killed everyone who wasn't powerful enough to kill them. Yeah, so that's how I ran it.
It's like 3 or 4.
It was so obviously a rush job.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But it was funny. I ran that in when one of the first time when I ran, they ended up in Nulb. They basically fled there, so to speak, because it was nowhere. They came to that inn, and the people that ran the inn, they were they invited everybody, and if they were not powerful, if they were powerful enough to kill them, they would, and strip all the things and then feed the leftovers to the next guest, so to speak. And the characters were sitting there and they were terrified, and then they came some really high level evil bastards in there, and that terrified the innkeepers and the couple that had the family that had the inn, so they were so terrified. So the characters survived simply because the other bastard was so nasty that the inn people that ran the inn didn't dare to question anybody, so they just served them whatever food that they had available, and the characters were sitting there too. So and then the little river pirate gang that had by the river, and I love the surroundings of Nulb. It was so cool. Yeah. And they actually didn't know, my players then didn't know about the temple. That was something that they started hearing and all that.
That's just it. They shouldn't know about the temple when they first go in. It should be set up as there are bandits in the gnarly forest. You're going in to get rid of it. That's what it should be. And then it slowly spirals into this old temple, this old evil that is being... But they just kind of jump straight from, it's the temple right away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're like, holy, if we keep on doing this, the book's going to be like this, and we don't, the publication, we should have done they should have T1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's what they should have done. But I love it. It's one of my favorites of all time. Some of which, right, it's not described anywhere except one line, right, in the whole...
it's just a name on a map.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
This way.
Yeah,
Joe, I'm looking forward to that.
Which is that way, and that's it. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just to answer Phantom and Jay's question, about the timing on that, hopefully this year.
Great.
And it'll be first edition, not fifth. Sorry.
But you can convert it to fifth, Phantom. It's not that hard.
It really isn't.
It's not that hard to do.
The other two things that I'm doing, which are all part of this whole thing, I'm doing an adventure called City of Spiders, which is an urban adventure set in Errolhigh Kindle, which is the city of the Drow in D3.
D3, the Bible of the Dark Elves and Greyhawk.
Exactly. So this is going to be an urban adventure, which is designed to give the players the knowledge they need to say, okay, there are two factions. It's the elemental evil worshipping Drow over here. They're the ones responsible for the giants, and there's the Lolth Drow over here, and they hate each other, and this is how and if you kill Lolth, you're going to get the keys, and you're going to be able to re-imprison the elemental god. The urban adventure is designed to feed them the information they need to finish the whole series.
Yeah, because you kind of can get lost in D3 and just wander aimlessly.
It's the whole thing hinges on the DM inventing ways for the players to learn what they need to know.
Right.
It even says so in the module.
Joe, I'll tell you this. I love the Merchant Clan idea in there, though. I love some of the stuff they have in there.
Absolutely.
Compared to what they did with Menzo Barons, and I love one-handed and buckler fighting Dark Elves. You know what I'm saying? Not every Dark Elf's a two-wielder. I love Death Lances, one of our favorite items ever made in a campaign. It's only in that D3 module, really.
And I love Half Drow.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. We have half Drow in our campaign.
Real Drow, and they have all of the penalties. It's like, yeah, this is made for role playing.
Yeah.
This is, and the other one I'm doing is what I'm calling Q2. Souls. It's a replacement for Q1 because Q1 sucks and everybody knows it. It has nothing to do with giants or drow. It's tacked on, had nothing to do with anything. And my Q2
drow
is
Josh Pop busted our stones on how we say drow. We always said drow. I said drow when I was a kid.
And the idea is that Gary actually said this in one of those N-World Q&As once, that the whole idea was originally supposed to be the players would be able to imprison the Elder Elemental God and Lolth, and thus end the threat. So that's going to be it. Rather than it's just you're going after Lolth for no reason because Lolth had nothing to do with the giant raids.
All right, so Q1's Q1 is a CF, but I love the alternate worlds that stem off of the one level. I love that. That
is one of the best parts of it. Yeah.
Yeah, because we've been to Arelhai Sinlu. No, not Arelhai Sinlu. The one where the elves are evil and the dwarves are enslaved.
Yeah, I know the one you mean.
Yeah, we've been there multiple. Sayer CD.
Yeah.
We've been there multiple times in my campaign, and so I love that. That's great. Writing that whole section.
Yeah, my thinking is, and I haven't actually published this on the blog yet, but mulling it over in my mind as I'm starting to write them, there really isn't a motivation for the players to want to take out Lolth.
There's not. You're correct.
Right, because it's the I'll serve clan and their allies who are behind the giant raids.
Right.
And if the players are there to stop the giant raids, they have to take out the Isle servs. So why go after Lolth?
Wait. You have to take out Eclavdra.
Yeah.
She doesn't become a Lolth worshiper overnight, right?
Right. Well, Eclavdra Isle serf. She's the head of the Isle serf.
Exactly.
So my thinking is, what if there's something like those alternate worlds that she's invaded, and like Lolth's troops are all over this. What if the players figure out she's about to do that to Oath? That becomes the motive for them to want to take her out too, because they want to stop the Elder Elemental God because he's behind the Isle serfs doing the giant raids. But then they realize, oh my God, Lolth's about to invade Oerth. We got to stop her too. So now they use the prison to imprison them both. That, I think, is the missing piece of the puzzle. It gives a motive for the players to take out Lolth, because otherwise they don't have one. Because Lolth is the enemy of their enemy.
So Josh Pop asks, which drow made it into the Gort novels and the good version hooked up with Gord?
Eclavdra. and the good version was named Lita.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The clone. Yeah.
Okay.
The clone, yeah.
There you go. And Art of Mike Disney, thank you for that, man. There's some real goodness going on here tonight. So,
I just need you to write it all. That's my problem.
To this day, we have raids by, there's two different factions. There's Loft Drow and there's AEG Drow to this day. A couple, we actually saw a lesser tentacle rod being used by a good neutral Drow Saturday night. It was one of the lesser ones. Where if you hit with all three, you do double damage and you slow them. So, we still to this day love that tension between them. I like keeping that going. But I'm really interested, Joe, to see these works. If you want a mega adventure, getting rid of the Elder Elemental God and Lolth at the same time is probably as mega as it gets, right?
Right.
So.
And I am actually looking something up. Okay. I'm in the 5th edition guide, right?
Tentacle Rod.
Tentacle Rod. They have them being Lolth related.
That drives me
insane. It's wrong.
That drives me. I won't get that violent, but it drives me insane because we're purists and but we know it's wrong, and me going up to Chris Lindsay or whoever and saying it's wrong, you're an idiot, it's not going to do me any good at Gary Con. You know what I'm saying? But we know that it's
you feel
wrong.
good inside, you know.
You feel good inside for about 10 seconds till they go, "Who's that?"
Oh, no,
asshole?
I feel good inside for about 10 years.
Definitely. There's quirk, and when I first started talking with Anna, I said, "Anna, do you use the Elder Elemental God of Calavera back and forth because everyone started to get a different spot."
The Elder Elemental God I've stayed away from because I haven't researched it much. So now I'm very curious. What's your take on the Elder Elemental God?
Yeah, definitely. Joe, it's not Tharizdun; it's its own god, correct?
Correct. The Tharizdun thing came in with Return to the Temple of Elemental Evil.
Yeah.
Which is an abomination.
Mike, you should be clapping too. No, vampire Thrommel.
Yeah. It's really awful because it really betrays the fact that Monty Cook hadn't really read thoroughly the original source material he was building off of, which is the same problem that the people who wrote Q1 had. They didn't understand what they were writing. They just knocked it out.
Yeah.
But no, in my opinion and in my conception, Tharizdun is a very, very different entity.
An ancient god of evil.
Should be treated very, very differently than the Elder Elemental God. And you see this in the Forgotten Temple of Tharizdun.
Yeah, oh yeah, love that.
The Gygax module. Because, and I actually did a whole in-depth treatment of this on my blog. When you see a Temple of the Elder Elemental God or the Elder Elemental Eye, the effects are really insanity, right? Because, it's beyond time and space, and it's very Lovecraftian. It's got tentacles, and but it's going to make you insane because Lovecraft. If you look at the temple, at the Forgotten Temple of Tharizdun, it's a very different module, and it treats the characters very differently. It does not make them insane; it subverts them. It forces them. If you want to get to the big treasure at the end of that,
you have to become
you have to become a worshiper of Tharizdun.
Yeah.
You have to put on the robes. You have to burn the incense. You have to. You have
freezing cold, or you can't. You have to wear the robes, or you die of exposure.
Right.
Yeah.
It's subversive in a way that the temples of the Elemental Eye are not, and I think that's good.
Yep.
From a narrative point of view, I think that is a much more effective way of producing unease in the players. Because the players are then faced with the choice of, well, do I make my character do this, which is going to ultimately corrupt them?
Like if you were a paladin.
Right.
How the hell do you
get a paladin putting on the robe of Tharizdun and going down to get the 333 gems? And
be like, I'm not going to do that.
Right, yeah, exactly. Then you die of cold. Okay. They are presented in the original works as having such very different aspects and different effects that I think it's actually it cheapens them both to try to conflate them just because it's some weird old god and they're all the same.
The only thing they have in common is elder god. It's the elemental part that's not the same.
Yeah.
We're going to run late, guys, but that's okay. I think we're all enjoying ourselves a little bit. Joe, can you stick around a little bit beyond the time frame here? We usually go to 10, a little bit longer.
I got a little more beer left. I can do
all right.
Okay,
all right.
Good. That's the spirit.
Excellent, excellent.
Ever filling horn there.
I really appreciate. Oh God, how do I say this without sounding arrogant? That our ethos line up on so many things when it comes to the old school stuff, because that always drove me crazy.
Well, you studied, both of you. You really
thank you.
delved depth into it.
Yeah. The Calavera thing always drove me nuts, and the Tharizdun Elder Elemental God thing always drove me a little crazy because Gary was going for the secretive cult thing. I thought with the Elder Elemental God, because it's not published. It was never published anywhere. And I wish he had expanded on it. So when you talk about Zugmi Prison and the Temple of the Eye, can you explain what you're talking about there a little bit in depth with that blog?
Yes. In the Temple of Elemental Evil, in Zuktmoy's interdicted prison.
Yep.
The place that you find Zuktmoy
Level
with the silver throne with the gems that are linked to demons, it's laid out very much like the Temple of the Elder Eye that you see in Hall of the Fire Giant King,
Yep.
which is also reproduced in
D3.
Vault of the Drug.
Yeah.
Because there's a similar place in the
Ilser, and the Thane. Is it no, not the Thane? The
No, that's
Ulcer.
the Thane of Lolth. There's actually just a duplicate of the Fire Giant Temple in the Ilser estate.
Right.
But the idea is that you've got this porphyry, which is a purple stone, and serpentine, which is a green stone, combined in this temple. And you see it in both places. So the possibility, and they both have pillars, and they both have a dais made out of different level steps. And the idea is that maybe Zuktmoy took an existing Temple of the Eye and got rid of the altar, which is the altar is the focus through which the Elder Elemental God appears. Got rid of that and replaced it with her own throne. Because remember, in Temple of Elemental Evil, the whole idea was the reason they were doing the cult of Elemental Evil was because they figured nobody would actually be interested in a cult of evil fungi. Go figure.
Yeah.
So I love the idea that somewhere under the Temple of Elemental Evil, that altar is still there.
Okay.
And, maybe there's a couple of different possibilities. They could have just kind of reproduced it knowing that people would expect to see porphyry and serpentine together with pillars. That could be one explanation. There could be another duplicate or similar temple underneath the temple, or it could just be a coincidence. The coincidence thing I don't get. That's right.
Okay.
But it's either it was a conscious attempt on Zuktmoy's part to emulate what they knew about the Elder Elemental Eye's shrines, or it was the actual Elder Elemental Shrine, and they just got rid of the altar and the triangle and the tubes that you hit to summon the god, and those things are still somewhere, and that's what I want to do with my T5.
Well, doesn't the tentacle wall in the Temple of Elemental Evil kind of fit that too, down on the 4th level? There's a whole tentacle wall, isn't there?
It's yes and no. It's very much of a different.
I never got. Yeah, I never got where it came from. I mean, there's something similar in G3, if I recall.
Right.
A claviers behind with 2 consorts.
Exactly. Yes, they use the tentacle motif is in both. But this is an example of where I think it's just Frank Mensner and Gary Gygax got together, and Gary said at one point, "Oh yeah, there should be tentacles."
Okay.
And, there should be 4. In real life, that's probably what happened. It's probably just a vestige of notes that Gary passed on to Frank. In game, however, I think part of the fun is figuring out, how this coincidence actually works in the setting. So
it's worth seeing what you come up with and publish out. I mean, seriously, I think it'll be cool stuff.
Well, I'm just trying to put the pieces together, to make something. In the case of Q1, I'm trying to make something that's better than what was published. In the case of my T5, I'm just trying to add what was published.
Fantastic. Anna, you got any other questions for Joe? I have one more discussion point.
Please go.
You sure?
Go for it.
Yeah, shoot.
All right. And this, Carlos, you're going to like this, because we're going to talk about Shokanth and Daoud's Wondrous Lanthorn. Okay, because there's a lot of speculation going on, discussing about what happens when you put different gems of power within the Wondrous Lanthorn.
Right.
So why don't you elaborate a little bit on this discussion that's going on your blog? I think it's
Oh,
your
dear.
most recent blog post.
Okay, so Lost Caverns of Sojkanth is obviously one of the most famous Gygax dungeons, and the big treasure at the end is Daorn's Wondrous Lanthorn, and you have in the description of the thing, it says that you can crush up gemstones and have them do different effects. The trouble is that there are some missing effects, which were probably, again,
Lenses.
errors.
Yeah. They go lenses. Aren't there different
Right,
lenses you
the
put on?
lenses. Yeah, the topaz lens is listed in the module, but it doesn't have an effect. And Eric, not Eric, Alan Grovey pointed out that in the original version of the module, that the photocopied tournament version, the topaz is listed, but it's an editing error. It doesn't mean that we can't have fun with it, as published. But it also says that if you put in different kinds of gems, you're going to get misfires. And my theory is that there's this huge vat of different kinds of gems next to the lantern. And my theory is that Igwilv was using that big vat of gems to experiment to produce different effects with the lantern.
Ooh.
So, I mean, it specifically says you can use different kinds of gems and they'll misfire. They'll have, different effects that aren't intended. I think she was trying to figure out what those were. And that's why you have this bin of gems right next to the thing. Yeah. So, I think that's a great place that you can kind of take off on the on Sojkanth that it's kind of lost. There's a lot of these little connections that I'm sure were really firm in Gary's mind that you just don't, they kind of echo in the printed version because there's editorial changes and yada yada yada. I think in that respect, something like Sojkanth has got so much potential, but the way it was published, despite the fact that it had a separate booklet for the new monsters that were going to be in the Monster Manual too,
cool,
the new magic items and all that other thing. Despite that, it really doesn't cover the fullness of what the caverns should have been. Because they say, oh yeah, and there's this tunnel over here that goes a quarter mile.
Yeah,
they never show it. They never explain it. It's just there. And then they have these this Hall of Pentacles, which is never detailed really. It's just this magical thing, and the DM should flesh it out. I think that kind of stuff was probably more fleshed out in Gary's mind than it ever got.
Right.
Got to the page. And what I love doing is picking out those little bits and pieces and fleshing them out as I think he would have done. It's like what I did with Adventures Dark and Deep. I based it on 2 magazine articles and just took it to what I thought was its logical conclusion. I just love filling in those corners.
I don't know if you agree with me on this, but I always felt bad killing off Drelsna at the end of that because I thought she'd be such a great arch nemesis.
Well, once they open the doors, she can be.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Once they open the doors, she just, she can, once she realizes she's going to lose, she can just turn into mist and off she goes.
True.
But yes, I agree. And what I found really fascinating was if you look at the timeline of that, because in the gold box in the folio, they say, and in this year, Ea's stopped expanding his empire, and and in that module they say, oh, and 100 years ago, Igwilv was overthrown. If you match up the dates, the year that Igwilv's realm is overthrown is the year that Eaz's empire stops expanding.
Huh.
Just so happens to work out. And I don't know if that was intentional or
That would be wow.
Yeah.
But think about this: if you look at the map of Greyhawk around the Yaddle Mountains, because the Lost Caverns of Sochconth are in the Yaddle Mountains, right?
Mhm.
And in the encounters, they have a group from Ket, which is right next to the mountains, and they have a group from Perenland, which is right next to the mountains, and they have a group from Ayuz, which you have to go through the Vesve Forest, High Folk, and then into the mountains. So obviously, Ayuz has some sort of vested interest in finding the caverns because there's something in there that
Makes
she was
sense.
using to help him grow. And then once she was overthrown, he didn't have access to it anymore, and he stopped growing. So he's going there to find it again. I think it's the lanthorn. It's the only thing that's unique to the cavern.
Well, how about the Zagir prison at that point was unique at that point too, wasn't it?
Well, it's a unique magic item, but it's
Right.
all it does is imprison one person.
Yeah, and puts them in
It
temporal.
doesn't
Yeah.
have the potential
True.
for big magical events
Right.
effects that that the lanthorn does. The only other possibility is something in one of the caves that we don't know about,
Right.
or the room of pentacles. And I don't like the idea that the power of the caverns of Sochconth was that it takes you to a place where the real power is. I think that's kind of a cop out.
So, if anyone wants to ask this question, Mike Wilson, Celestian GC, has actually given to Duff at Praetor's Rejects and Brian Sublime Shokanth 5e Fantasy Grounds. Okay, so it's out there. It is out there for you guys to mess around with. So it's coming. A lot of those publications and Fantasy Grounds with a VTT are coming, and that's one of them. So.
And I do want to say for the record that in Dragon or Dungeon, I think it was Dungeon, they did an expansion of Sochconth at one point and turned Sochconth into the name of a demon. And it was just,
yeah.
How did you do that?
Hey, not everyone hits a home run when you make an ad to something, But,
absolutely, I know everybody should do it exactly the way I think it should be done.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the thing. I mean, I gotta say this because I'm only doing these expansions and these extrapolations. This is just what I think it should be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any magic crystal that I'm talking. I'm not talking to Gary through a Ouija board or anything. I'm just extrapolating based on what I know and what I think, and based on my knowledge and research. If somebody else wants to go in a completely different direction, it's fine. I don't have any. I'm not the definitive word on how these things can or should be expanded. I'm just doing it because nobody else seems to be. And if anybody else wants to, I'm not. I am not the inheritor of Greyhawk, of Gary's legacy in Greyhawk. But I'm just a guy who's a fan who's trying to fill it out.
Everyone has like that niche where they it seems like the bloggers all do, and that's a great thing because Mike's got the stuff he works on, and then you got David Leonard now, you got Tommy John Kelly now, you got Jason Zavoda now. So it's a good thing. We did an episode on bloggers a little while back there, Joe, but I knew we were going to have you on. We wanted to have you on separate. So it's great to hear that there's that what's the word, enthusiasm for it to this day, Joe. It's like you grew up with it and you're like, wow, it's still with you. And that's the way I feel too. It's just some of us have gone different directions. My storyline has diverged off in 1981 or 82, and then had to fill in. Oh, I don't like this part of From the Ashes. I can only use this, and this, and this. And that's the thing. When you go so long, it gets further and further away, diverges further. Right. So I'm actually kind of happy that having anything.
Where are you? What year is your campaign in now?
It's in like 620.
Wow.
Yeah, but that's immaterial, really. It really is, because we did the fundraiser stream, and we didn't talk about the date. It just, in my game when we're playing, it's like at that era. So it's really doesn't. We're 1 for 1. It's almost 1 year of real time is 1 year of game time almost, and we've been playing for 40 years. So same campaign. So it tends to be where it goes. I've kind of slowed it down over the time, but it doesn't matter. It's it's fun. We're enjoying ourselves.
You have to
with it.
run more
We're supposed
combat, then times fly slower. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So, in closing, Joe, what would you like to take out of this for everyone who's watching,
Oh, jeez.
or just what you want to say?
Shout out.
Shout outs
Yeah.
too, or
Yeah.
just like what would you think that you'd want to leave with everyone that I know it's a deep question, but
Buy my stuff. No. No. Honestly, I mean, it's what I just said. I don't have any magic key. I'm just a guy putting the stuff out here, and anybody can. And what I'm doing is not gospel, and what anybody else is doing is not gospel, other than wizards. But we could the whole question of the definition of canon is a whole other problem.
Mhm.
But seriously, I mean, there's no one Greyhawk. This was the theme of the article I just did for the Orc Journal.
Awesome.
There's no one Greyhawk castle. Gary had 4. And,
It's true.
and then there's mine, and then there's 2 from TSR, and then there's another
Alan's.
one from Wizards. And there's a zillion of them out there,
Yeah.
and none of them are right or wrong. Your Greyhawk that's in 620 CY is no less Greyhawk than my
Exactly.
Greyhawk, which is still in 578.
Wow.
Because I keep restarting mine.
Oh yeah, we've never. Yeah.
It's just we love different things about the setting, and the setting is diverse enough, and it's enough of a blank slate that anybody can put its mark on.
And you have resources out there like Anna's Maps, Brian Blumkutz's Heraldry, all the publications you've done, publications from Alan, also Mike's blogs. You can develop
Yeah.
something cool. Excuse me. And I tell everyone, I freely give anything that people want from my campaign, classes, rules. It's fine. Whatever we do, I want people to enjoy Greyhawk, and I think that's a great thing to hear, Joe. All right, someone else talk. I got a coughing fit coming.
That's what you get for not having beer.
Yes, it needs some more beer. Yeah.
So I'm sure there's a lot of stuff Joe's done that we could go on, and we'll have to do that the next time he's on.
Yeah, we have to come on and talk about the rest of the planet. You
Like
did an
maps and
awesome map where you kind of rumped off the continent of Weir.
Yeah, save
kind
that.
of made your own version of it. That was really interesting.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll hold that one for the next time. But yeah, that's the one I was expecting.
Yeah, I was waiting for that, but I realized that will that's a whole big rabbit hole that is kind of we should have a show where we talk about the rest of the planet again and
Oh yeah, definitely,
It'll happen.
absolutely. So Joe, what are you drinking? Carlos is asking.
Carlos is asking. I'm drinking Coors Light.
Oh, there you go. Just putting it in a big mug there.
Yeah, I'm just putting it in the vast mug.
So how about this? How about we maybe down the road, when we did our 50th Gabbard at Lord Peaks Haven, which is my Sunday night show, I had everyone on from Greyhawk I could fit on that screen. Remember, guys? And how many hours did we go? Did we go like 6 hours? The show, right? So, Mike, you remember it was a long show, and we just talked about various Greyhawk topics the entire time.
Yeah.
Well, we're on 83, so the 100 shows will be this year, Joe. So, I'd love to have you on for that one at least.
Yeah,
and
we
just
have 10
sit
more
and just
weeks, and we have the
bullshit about Greyhawk.
50th anniversary of Legends and Lore, so we have to.
Yeah, so we got some anniversary shows coming up too.
I am at your disposal.
Awesome.
Awesome. Yeah.
As you can probably tell, I can talk about Greyhawk for frickin' ever.
Oh yeah, and I don't want to say much because I'm just enjoying it so much and hear all these theories and stuff. So it's kind of I don't want to derail it with too much map talk, but we should have an episode where we discuss, because you did some
Let's do
interesting.
that. I would love to. I would love
Yeah,
to have
because-
a talk with you and I focusing on the map stuff.
Yeah, because you've done the best, most detailed map of the whole planet to date, so to speak.
I'd love to, if he can. Carlos, if you're still on, we include Carlos with Firelands, right?
Oh yeah, we should definitely. Yeah, we should get you and Carlos on, and we should talk about
Carlos,
continents and
you're still on.
subcontinents.
I gotta say this because I was going to do a Fireland map as part of that, And then I talked to Carlos, and he asked me not to because he was doing his own.
Yeah, and I've
okay.
kept it. Yeah,
I've seen
I
it for
was
like 10
also
seconds.
leaning on Fireland, and I've kind of kept that off limits for
Exactly.
until it's all. Yeah.
Yeah, so
We're all
and you wouldn't have to
waiting
go
for
into
Carlos on
detail,
that.
Carlos, if you're not ready to publish it yet. But just to come on to discuss it with that in that.
Yeah, because we have the rest of the planet is an interesting topic that is only vaguely defined, and there's been attempts here and there, and half attempts, and some interesting and not so interesting stuff.
Just
so to
figuring out
speak.
how many oceans there are is a topic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Carlos just said, "I begged in capped letters, Joe not to." Is more like it. So, but Carlos, we'd love to have you on that one as well when we do
Yep.
that, and we'll put that down the road in April because
Yep.
we only have 2 Legends of Lore days in March, as it is with
Yeah,
with
you
Gary
gone
Con
one
being
week, and
one.
we have
and
Gary Con one
yeah.
week and stuff. So, yep.
All
I
right,
am
so
so
Joe,
sorry I'm going to miss Gary Con. I
Yeah.
love it. I
Yeah.
wish I could be there. I just, this year work is interfering, and
Damn.
There will be more years. It will be next year. Yeah.
next year. And let's do that thing. Let's do the Iron League thing.
I think it's a great
offline.
idea. See, so we got because Tim, who's been on, has done more stuff over on the eastern side of the map than me DMing in my campaign. He's done a lot of stuff in on-wall in that area, so maybe I can get him involved in it as well for him to DM on that as well. So we'll have a little access to
Yeah, and
to
I've done.
someone.
I did my Rel Devon and
Yeah.
a bunch of stuff around there too. So we'll see. Yep.
Because we're gonna have a lot of cool. This is being our 40th. We got the new campaign starting in Norwell, and I have a joust, a festival and joust. I'm gonna do online
Oh,
soon.
well,
Oh
that's-
yeah,
Ooh, looking forward to
guys.
that
I know
one,
I
yes.
shouldn't be saying this right away. We're gonna stream that, of course, and
Are you
Yeah.
gonna
yeah,
use the
Yes.
rules from
yes, Dragon.
oh, I was going to say from Chainmail.
No, the Dragon magazine has good rules in it that we used when we did this in the late 80s, early 90s. I forget what Dragon number it is. Is it in like 85? Whatever it
I
is.
vaguely remember the thing you're talking
Yeah,
about.
they work well for us with what we do. We had an archery competition too, some other things, but the joust, everyone's asked to see it. So
Cool.
that's what. But I got to get Bill to get figures painted for it because the Reaper has all these miniatures. So
You also have to get coconuts. The people who have seen the joust at GaryCon will know what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. See, yeah. I have not seen that, but cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Man. All right. So shout outs. Joe, do you have
Yeah.
anything in closing you'd like to say? And then we'll go around the room and we'll.
I did my closing bit. Just thank you to all. This has been I love this. I love gabbing about Greyhawk, and I'll do it anytime anybody asks.
Okay.
Fantastic. So we got
thank
you
you
for
so much.
2
Yeah.
possible different shows. We got this one on Wednesdays in Gavin at Lord Peak Saving, which is more about my campaign, but we have I had Leonard Kafka on twice. So
Yep.
miracles do happen.
Yeah. Mhm.
So and that's the Sunday night one, so we can have you on back on both, and definitely for the 100th, but we'll get you on before then, definitely. Anna, what do you got going on?
I'm working on my rivers map. I've been announced that get all the rivers and waterfalls and how navigable the river. I read through all the various editions when they describe how far up you can go to on the rivers with different types of crafts. So I made a map of that detailing it. So I'm working on that. I just published the for my patrons the illustrator and the fully layered version of the new 576 map. So that's coming out very soon to everyone to play with, so you can make it your own. The problem with that is that it requires Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator to really work with. But for those who want to dig deep and make their own version of my map, you can take those files. Those are the source files that I'm using myself. So anyone can just go on and tweak them.
Will that work with GIMP?
And not unfortunately not. I'm going to chop it up into pieces a little bit later, so you can actually put it in there. The problem is that the Illustrator file, I would like for it to be compatible with Inkscape, that is open source, but it's not. But my next project is one of the big that I'm going to talk about a lot at GaryCon, is to start using QGIS. That is a open source mapping tool So the future versions of the maps will not be based on Adobe Illustrator. They will be QGIS. That will open up a whole new era of awesome possibilities, including that you can take just the bits and pieces you want of the data, and you can format it any way you want, and you can also use it online and in various other formats, and there will be metadata and stuff you can attach to it, and people can just pick the goodies they want for and simply tweak it much easier without much less problems with it. And you can also get metadata like the distance between the cities and stuff automatically calculated for you. So if you want to know how long the road is from one city to another, you can automatically get that. So that is coming, and that's one big thing that I've been working in secret for about a year to actually start tweaking and start using GIS. The problem is that there's a hell of a lot of groundwork to do, because in order, GIS, the geographical information system, is the real mapping tools that you use to map the real world. And the thing is, then you need to figure out where things are. So that's why I've been thinking so much about where the Flanese is on the globe, and a bit about the rest of the globe, so I can kind of nail down. And now I've done a model of where the Flanese is that matches or fairly well matches the in the glossography, I think it is, that you have that line when you have the different latitude and longitude. No, only the latitude. So that is one thing that I'm working on. So I put that in there, and that will open up so you can do all sorts of grids. You can export things like you can get all the settlement listed. If you don't want to know every village, you can put that in there. You can metadata, you can export it to web maps, and yeah, the sky is the limit. It's a whole new ball game that I'm opening. So I've been working on that for about a year. So I have some early works and concepts and stuff to put in there. And then I have some other secret projects that I'm not going to talk about until GaryCon, because I want to have a few kind of cool things to kind of showcase the stuff. And I also got a new tool today, one that I've been waiting for about 5 years, I think. I was waiting for my entire life, but now I actually got hold of it. It's Dax Pandy, a friend of mine. He was actually my very first patron. He runs a company called Quad Spinner that does 3D terrain tools. And he has a new version of Gaia that has they have cartography tools and stuff. So I helped him out, inspire him to do all the stuff. And he's an amazing programmer. So he lives in India, and he runs a company called Quad Spinner, and they make a tool that is simply awesome. And now I got my hands on an early version, an early build with some of the really cool features with rivers. You have mapping tools, and combine that with geographical information tools and other 3D tools. The sky is the limit. Now we can do a whole bunch of stuff. And one of the big takeaways is that the end data, anyone can just download it and tweak it without having to buy expensive software and stuff. So I have some other future ideas and projects that I'm also going to unveil, and some ideas that I'm going to talk about at my 2-hour seminar at GaryCon. So there will be some fun stuff that I think will be interesting for fantasy cartographers and Greyhawk people, since Greyhawk is my kind of showcase world where I do things just to kind of prove my skills, so to speak, and it's my research and development world.
Quick announcement: Dennis Tetro's on.
Oh yes, hi Dennis.
Better late than never.
And he was sitting on the Greyhawk channel for a while. Dennis, it's all here now, but so I can't remember if I wrote about. All right, so we're talking about something coming up. I just wanted to make that announcement. Good that Dennis has gotten on. Normally he has a conflict on Wednesdays, which is great to see. So.
And then we have we might, I guess it soon we have to start advertising the stuff that happens at GaryCon, because the tickets are coming out and stuff. So we have the fandom seminar too, where we have a whole panel of all of us. All of us and
Brian.
Yeah, Brian and Alan will be there, and Christoph will be there too, and we talk about fan stuff and creating fan stuff and just, I guess, all out nerdiness, geekiness about Greyhawk. So yeah, for 2 hours.
It's going to be an awesome time there. I'm really looking forward. I'm glad I decided to go after all the BS with the rooms. But yeah, I'm really
Yeah.
glad
Mhm.
that I'm going. I'm DMing twice. So Mike. Mike normally is very quick. We got Mike.
What do I got?
Yeah, what you got, man?
Well, I'm trying to go through a year's worth of notebooks and
Good.
get the Prince's stuff
Good.
Wow.
ratcheted down. I'm working on like 30 nobles for the Sea Princes.
Beautiful. I'll use that stuff immediately in my campaign because I'm of the same. No Scarlet Brotherhood and Sea Princess. So definitely that'd be awesome. Can't wait for that article.
Other than that, I'm going to try to post something random on Greyhawk tomorrow.
Excellent.
Oh, tomorrow. Hmm.
Well,
maybe about how great of an episode this was tonight.
There you go.
Yeah.
You're easy. All right, so I already been putting this up. Tomorrow night we go back to my free city of Altamira for Taint of the Falcon after we did the 24-hour Greyhawk Mega Stream fundraiser, and we had some undead old PCs running around. There's a little residual effect left, even though the great heroes defeated her at the end of the entire event. So you'll see, because I just didn't want to take that city down terrain. It was just no. I'm gonna leave it up. We're gonna do it. The Windborn Mercenary Group. We'll see. I have a new undead creature. I'm gonna bring out tomorrow night. Kind of self-creation. My buddy Bill gave me the idea, and we ran with it. So you'll see that. Sunday night, Scabbin is going to be continuing our delving series, which we took a break because of the fundraiser event. We're going to be delving in. Well, I just hit Legends of Lore for next week, so we're going to be delving into halflings on Sunday night. We've already done dwarves and elves. We're going to do the halflings. Then we'll do gnomes, then we'll do half ogres and half orcs each episode. So we'll see. We'll see how that comes up. The highest level characters in my campaign brought up from first are halfling thieves, of course, right? Got them running around, and a lot of Dennis, if you can give me information in Discord on your hoe bloggers, I'll talk about them on Sunday night. Absolutely, whatever that is, I'm very interested. But please, Jason, if you could do that, that would be helpful. Next week, what are we doing on Legends of Lore next week, next Wednesday? Because we will not be on the Wednesday after. I'll be in Florida for a work party at Captiva Island. Boo-hoo me, right? So I get to go there. Here we go. Villains.
Yep.
We're going to do villains next week, okay? In Greyhawk, of course. Just villains. Whoever you think. If you think your villain is a Calavdra, you think your villain is whoever it may be.
Me.
What's that?
Ooh, yeah, he's a tough guy. Yeah. And Keek, his sidekick.
The Bonehearts, yeah, it could be. Did you really? Mike, we'll talk about that. I get to go. This is the 6th time I've gone to Captiva for a work award, and I'm there from Wednesday to Sunday that week. So I love the place. Doc Ford's, I love Doc Ford's there. So villains is whatever we make of it. We're going to talk a lot. Jason Zavoda's coming on because Jason's a wealth of knowledge.
Cool.
I'm thinking one more other. If you really think you can contribute to the conversation and you haven't been on yet to Legends of Lore and you want to participate, contact me and we'll bring you on. If you'd like to participate in this discussion next week.
Yeah, and Gary.
Gary. Is Gary still on? I don't think Gary is.
Oh yes, he was on a minute ago, so
I know
he should definitely make it next week. Yeah.
Dennis normally can't make it. Oh, there it is. Okay, I'm going to bookmark that. Thank you so very much, Dennis. I will use that Sunday night. Thank you. I have permission to use your logos on your site too. Just please say yes. So, but that's what we're going to have coming up, and then we'll go from there with everything else, man. Joe, it's been a pleasure, man. Thank you. It's been an awesome. Oh, you have a black cat too. So do I.
Good time.
Flip
Oh,
says
so
hello.
Yeah, I got one that looks identical to him. My gosh, awesome.
Off you go.
So, thank you so very much there.
I had a
Everyone,
blast.
this was
Thank you so much. This has been wonderful.
thank you for answering all of our questions. Thank you for
Wonderful time.
going into detail on some of those theories, and I really hope to see some of these publications. And once again, these 3 5e publications out for Greyhawk guys, they're fantastic. Utilize them. Really just get some good use out of them. And one more time, I'm going to run it again because I said I wasn't, but I'm going to run it again. Thank you for $2,522 from everyone during the Greyhawk
Wow.
Mega Stream event. That is, we did 1,010 last year.
Crushed it.
And our goal was 2,000, and we smashed that. It was a great contribution by everyone. Thank you for your generosity. Almost all the gifts have gone out from Reaper and Stratagem and the Bards of Greyhawk and Casey's book. They're all out. I got a couple I got to get with addresses, but anyone who donated a certain amount automatically gets something complimentary, and some of the stuff's pretty nice. So, like Josh Pop, Gutaka, you're getting all those maps from Anna. High res at GaryCon, so you'll see you got your book, but you're going to see that as well. So looking forward to everyone enjoying that stuff from our sponsors. All right, here we go. Let's end this up with let's end this up with this again, saying thank you, and then we'll call it a night. Joe, you can hang a little bit, and you don't have to hop off and talk over this. So
I can do that. I can talk about anything.
yeah, well, that's good to hear. It's good to hear, man. Oh, whew.
So who's watching Star Trek Picard?
I haven't yet because I went through Mandalorian. I heard it's really good.
I'm really liking it. I am not a fan of Discovery, and I am not a fan of the new movies, but Picard is just knocking it out of the park as far as I'm concerned.
Casey says he's watching it. I know that Christoph's watching it too. It sounds like they've already renewed it, so
right.
It's a good thing.
I stopped watching after Deep Space Nine.
Well, Deep Space Nine was just. It was a what do you call it? A soap opera in space, right? For the most part, it got a little weird. I think they didn't know what to do with the wormhole and so they went with Kardashians instead.
Kardashian.
I know. I know. Just think that's a big. So it's amazing what's that? Yeah, I didn't like the reboot too with the guy from Quantum League. What the hell was his name?
Oh, I liked Enterprise.
You did? I thought. Well, the first season was good. I thought when the beam came down and killed everyone in Florida, I thought that was a little crazy.
Yeah, what was it? That race. I didn't like that one, but when they started in the 4th season, they had the augments, which were like Khan, and then they had the thing with the Romulans, and then they had the mirror universe stuff. When they started referencing stuff that was in the original series, that's when it really got strong.
Well, I don't mind the Star Trek now with the girl from The Walking Dead. I watched that a little bit because I like Rainn Wilson was Harry Mudd. I thought that was perfect.
I can't stand Discovery.
Okay. I didn't say it was fantastic, but I liked some of the stuff that they had in there. The instant teleporting of the Enterprise was a little hokey.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, the spore drive.
Yeah, exactly.
Where was that when Voyager needed it?
Yeah.
I don't know, but didn't Barclay save Voyager at the end?
Yeah, well,
the 18 guy.
They Voyager at the end, but they were in contact with one. Yeah.
So. Oh, Wicked's on? Oh shit. I should have. What's he playing? I'm going to hang in there. Hang in there 1 sec. All right. I'm gonna raid over whoever's left's left. On. Sorry guys. Let me raid over to him. So hang in there 1 second. We'll raid what we got left. I don't think anyone would be on at this time of the night. We're still streaming.
Oh, one thing. I'm going to be at Dreamation in Morristown this weekend selling my
nice.
stuff.
Oh,
So please, if anybody's anywhere near Morristown, New Jersey, this weekend at Headquarters Plaza, Dreamation Convention, I'll be a vendor. Yay!
Awesome. All right, let me turn that off. We raided in. The raid should have been successful. Hope it was.